Chapter 37. Many figures leaped through the forest. Even though they were wearing armor that weighed over 100 kilograms, they still looked like apes. This was the embodiment of their powerful vitality. Originally, when traversing through the forest, the thistles and thorns were very annoying. Humans had to chop them down before they could enter. However, after wearing this metal armor, it became much easier. Many thistles and thorns could be directly charged through. Moreover, there was a layer of membrane inside the metal armor that was waterproof. Even the small insects, ants, and centipedes in the forest couldn't drill through. In the primeval forest, the most terrifying thing was not the various monsters, but the small insects. They were everywhere, and a bite from them would be painful and itchy. Some could even be fatal. It was just that it was slightly heavier, especially when traversing through the forest. The consumption of physical strength was 10 times that of an ordinary person. Only the strong could run. Some of the 50 students moved in groups of 3 to 5, while others moved alone. They entered the depths of the forest like a handful of sand thrown into the sea, disappearing without a trace in an instant. Zheng Wenbing, Yang Wu, and Zhang Yu were sneakily following behind. They were gnashing their teeth. They hated Jiang Li to the bone, but they didn't dare to make a move. It was obvious that Jiang Li had already obtained the favor of Luohan and Serene. Going against the two girls was simply courting death. I don't know what kind of dog shit luck this Jiang Li has. His strength has improved by leaps and bounds. Zheng Wenbing tried to steal a chicken, but ended up losing the rice used to lure it. He had to compensate 300,000 star dollars. Of course, he was unwilling and wanted revenge. How can we take revenge? We can't take the proper path. Serene and Luohan are both protecting him. Yang Wu had already recovered, but his body was still aching. He had been slapped by Jiang Li before. Thinking about it, he felt a crazy sense of humiliation. Let's wait and see. We might be able to instigate a fight between Ouyang Xing and Jiang Li. As long as Ouyang Xing makes a move, he will definitely suffer. Zhang Yu is very sinister. Right, if the two of them start conflict, it will be interesting. Should we contact Ouyang Xing? Yes, we must instigate a fight. The three of them sneakily enter the forest. A shiny longsword appeared in Serene's hand. She suddenly brandished it, and a snowflake fell from the sky. It was a D-rank sword technique, snowflake cover. The long saber enveloped the entire area. Many shrubs were cut down by her long saber, and a smooth road appeared. This long saber was the weapon she always carried with her. For this training, they were only allowed to bring cold weapons. Of course, firearms were prohibited for civilians. Even if Mr. Rich Boss could get his hands on them, he could only use them secretly. Cold weapons, on the other hand, were not prohibited. Serene's sword was her best weapon. It was 3 feet long and had a narrow blade made of super strong alloy steel. It could really cut through iron as if it were mud. This was the appearance of a Japanese samurai sword from more than 200 years ago, but it was even narrower. The blade was colder, and there was a thin line of blood groove in the middle. In Serene's hands, this knife was like a butterfly passing through flowers in a magic show. She was skillful, and had telepathy. Whoosh! A strange snake suddenly sprang out from the control, spitting venom from its mouth, which splashed onto the steel armor. The armor actually emitted white smoke, showing signs of corrosion. If not for the armor, the entire body would have rotted away. The saber flashed, and the snake's head fell. Serene made her move, accurately chopping off the snake's head. Then, she used look at the sword by the lantern, and the entire body of the snake was cut open. A snake's gallbladder was picked out and stained on the saber. Jiang Li collected. This is a wave snake from another planet. The price of its gallbladder is a few dozen star dollars. Although Serene killed the snake and obtained its gallbladder, she did not need it. She did not care about something that was worth a few dozen star dollars. However, Jiang Li carefully collected it and took out a bag, not caring about anything. A few dozen star dollars was also a sum of money, equivalent to half a month's salary for his parents. Even a mosquito was worth something. Luohan, this is the first extraterrestrial life form I have killed. Back then, when the human army arrived at Butsu planet, This kind of strange snake caused a lot of casualties in our army. Serene said proudly. She felt that her saber technique, agility, and spirit had all greatly improved. If it wasn't for the metal armor you are wearing, your whole body would have festered. Luohan said coldly. Moreover, look at the snake's head. Serene shivered. The snake's head that was chopped off actually had a long needle nailed on it, piercing through the snake's brain. This needle was obviously shot by Luohan. No one knew when she shot out the steel needle. The venom of the wave snake was very powerful and had a strong corrosive effect. Basically, even the bones of a person would be melted by it. 100 years ago, when a human army arrived at Butsu planet, a large number of venomous snakes shot their venom, causing the human army to suffer heavy losses. Even some of the weaker armors were corroded and melted. Luohan actually knew how to play with needles. Let's call it a draw this time. Jiangli saw that the two girls were at each other's throats. I saw it clearly. When Luohan's needle shot out, Schwelling's knife also cut into his skin. Both of you were alerted at the same time. Whatever. I don't care about a mere undulating snake. Luohan, playing with needles makes you look like the perverted ladyboy Dongfang Booby in the novel from a long time ago. Serene sneered. Dongfang Booby is not the only one who plays with needles. There is also Sun Wukong. Luohan smiled faintly. The needle disappeared and reappeared at her fingertips like a spirit snake. Oomph. Serene immediately said, Luohan, if you have the ability, let's compete. Take off your armor and move through the jungle. How about it? Only by being in danger at all times between life and death can you get real training. Do you dare? Why wouldn't I dare? Luohan began to remove her armor. Don't. Let me say, don't play around with your life. Zhongli was shocked. In this dangerous jungle, taking off armor was equivalent to courting death. Just now, without armor, the wave snake's venom had already sprayed on her body. Her whole body would rot, and the beauty would become bones. Taking off her armor was like rolling on the edge of a knife. Deep in the jungle, who knew what kind of danger she would encounter in the future? Seeing Luohan take off her armor, Serene also took off her armor quickly, revealing tight clothes. Her figure was uneven, and she was more than 8 meters tall. She was a tall beauty. Luohan's figure was also not bad. Both of them were wearing tight clothes of good quality. It was unknown what kind of leather it was made of. Bursts of fragrance spread out, making one's imagination run wild. Both of you, don't be so angry. The jungle is very dangerous. If you're not careful, even with modern medical technology, you won't be able to be saved in time. Zhongli kept trying to persuade them, but the two girls didn't listen at all. Only in this way can I focus my mind and guard against danger at any time and any place, and train the sensitivity of my mind and spirit. Deep in the grass, 3 poisonous spiders, 4 scorpions, and 2 centipedes. Luohan's ears suddenly twitched, and she accurately captured many tracks. She waved her hand. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 9 long needles as thin as a cow's hair were thrown out. Deep in the grass, there was a commotion, and as expected, some poisonous insects were accurately killed. Zhongli, help us carry the armor. Serene smiled brightly. When we rest at night, we still have to wear the armor. Carry armor? I have to carry both of our armors? Zhongli was stunned. One set of armor weighed 200 kilograms. Adding on the 2 of them, it would be more than 600 kilograms. It was definitely a huge torture. If you want to be a gentleman, helping girls carry things is nothing. At this time, Serene deliberately laughed at Zhongli. Yes, help us carry things, that's a good man. For some reason, Luohan and Serene, who opposed each other tit for tat, actually joined forces to deal with Zhongli. Forget it. I'll just do some hard work once. It'll be training. You guys walk slowly. I'll carry so many things as training. He squatted down and folded the armor piece by piece. Finally, it formed 2 big iron boxes. He carried one in each hand and followed behind the 2 girls. Originally, Luohan and Serene ran very fast without the burden. Zhongli couldn't catch up with them even if he whipped his horse. However, taking off the armor also meant danger. They had to be careful every step of the way. They focused their mind and radiated their mind to the grass and shrubs hundreds of meters around them. Therefore, their walking speed wasn't much faster. On the other hand, Zhongli didn't have any scruples at all. Even if there were poisonous insects in the bushes, he would directly crush them and trample a large number of insects to death. The poisonous bees are coming. Just as the crowd climbed over a few mountains, suddenly there was a buzzing sound in front of them. Suddenly, Luohan and Sheren's faces changed. They saw a huge group of poisonous bees in front of them. They gathered into a ball and condensed into a cake. Each of them was as long as a finger and as big as a thumb. They were also poisonous bees from an alien planet. They were very powerful and aggressive. Whoosh, 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 feeling the breath of humans, a large group of poisonous bees suddenly flew over, extremely fierce. Luohan's entire body was like a bow that suddenly shot out. She waved her hand, and a wave of needles shot out. The needles collided with the poisonous bees that were flying over, causing them to fall down like raindrops. Kill! Sheren jumped up and drew an arc with the saber in her hand. With a shake of her arm, she picked out hundreds of sabers. The blade buzzed, and each saber accurately hit a poisonous bee. No poisonous bee could get close to her body. C-grade saber technique, rainstorm slash. This was an evolution of ancient fencing techniques, Japanese saber techniques, and Chinese swordsmanship. It required extreme accuracy and speed, and it had high requirements for muscles. There were some experts who specialized in killing flies in a closed environment. In a second, they could kill more than 10 flies and slice them in half. Sheren's speed was even faster, and she slashed out over 20 times in a second. Furthermore, her breath was drawn out as she continuously killed. Zhongli only saw the saber flashing, and Sheren was wrapped up in an impenetrable manner. The poisonous bees all fell, and 10 seconds later, this group of poisonous bees was completely wiped out. However, Sheren's face was red and swollen, looking very scary. It was obvious that she had been stung by a poisonous bee that had escaped, and her face was disfigured. However, she was already prepared. She immediately took out a small bottle of spray and sprayed it on her face. The red and swollen immediately disappeared, and her face became as clean as new. This was the latest skin regeneration potion. It was very expensive, and such a small bottle cost thousands of star dollars. Furthermore, it was very difficult to buy in the market. Chapter 38. Sheren, you are almost disfigured. Luohan laughed with a hint of schadenfreude. It seems like you haven't mastered the rainstorm slash. I remember there was a martial arts master who practiced the rainstorm slash. He stood in the middle of a storm and used his blade technique to protect his whole body. When the storm stopped, his whole body wasn't wet at all. But you were stung by a swarm of poisonous bees. Oof. Sheren found a place to sit down and didn't speak. She breathed in and out and rested. She seemed to have gained a lot of enlightenment while killing the poisonous bees. What do you know? Just now, I finally found a flaw in my saber technique. There was a gap in my mind, which allowed the poisonous bee to slip through. This is a valuable experience. If you don't experience it, you won't understand. The instant the poisonous bee stabbed me, I understood. I have long understood the flaw. Luohan's tone turned cold. The two of them opposed each other with equal harshness. Zhongli didn't speak. He didn't want to get into trouble. The two competing women were too terrifying. He was just a laborer, silently carrying the armor. This work was tiring, but it was also a great training for his physical strength. The two of them rested for a while before they got up and dashed into the depths of the forest. Zhongli followed. At this time, Luohan suddenly pulled out a cold weapon from her waist. It was a belt sword, shining with a cold light. It was incomparably sharp and chilling. Any cold weapon forged by modern metal forging techniques would completely surpass those of ancient times. Any ancient divine weapon couldn't withstand a single blow from modern metal forging techniques. Along the way, they really cut their way through. The speed of the two women was obviously faster. Zhongli was having a hard time following behind, but he secretly used some meditation from the Great Emperor Seal to recover his physical strength while running. He panted and reach his limit a few times. It was indeed very difficult to follow the two girls closely while wearing armor that weighed 200 kilograms and carrying a 400 kilograms armored metal box. The two women were competing with each other, and they were getting faster and faster. Jiang Li's physical strength was gradually running out. Women are really scary when they go crazy. He secretly shook his head, but he didn't stop to rest. This was a good training, and he wouldn't let it go. Breathe, breathe. All of a sudden, his consciousness began to blur, and he fell into a deep sleep. He actually fell into a deep sleep while running. It was as if he was sleepwalking. Falling into deep sleep during exercise? This was an extremely profound realm. The third stage. Even an expert would have to sit up, stop moving, calm down, breathe, and stabilize their body before they could enter deep sleep. As long as there was any movement outside, the expert would immediately jump up and dispel the state of deep sleep. As long as the body moved, the mental state would collapse. This was an inevitable law. Only those who were about to make a breakthrough in their spiritual cultivation could enter deep sleep at will. While he was running, he had been carrying too much weight, and his body had finally reached its limits. In order to recover his stamina, he started to meditate on the various hand seals of the Great Spirit Emperor imprint. Without moving his body, he formed hand seals with his spirit and heart. This kind of meditation caused his brain and body to be in a wonderful state of mind. Dream for thousands of autumns. What year is it today? His mind entered a deep sleep, and his vision became montage. His body was running, but his mind was asleep. However, the sleeping mind could see everything outside, just that everything outside was montage. It was as if he was in a dream. He didn't feel tired at all, and his mind was perfectly rested. His mind started to change his body through his nerves, blood vessels, and secretions. This was a type of extreme cultivation, dream-walking cultivation. It was like the ancient drunken fist. When a person was drunk, their fist force would be several times stronger than usual because their mind was in a state of excitement. It was as if they were on stimulants. The mind wasn't drunk, and the heart wasn't drunk. Now, Jiang Li's mind was in a deep sleep. He was sleepwalking, and his body was running wildly. It was also in that state. In this state, his body was constantly on stimulants, and his limits were greatly increased. He followed closely behind the two girls, and no matter how the two girls ran, he didn't fall behind at all. How was his stamina so strong? Serene and Luohan were secretly shocked. Their vitality was also one, but Jiang Li seemed to be several times stronger than them. Did he take stimulants? It shouldn't be. Taking stimulants can increase one's explosive power in a short time, but it's impossible to last for so long. His body will collapse. No, he is going to break through. His mental state is going to break through. He has entered the third stage of deep sleep. Luohan suddenly said. He entered a deep sleep while exercising. His body is asleep, but his heart is not asleep, and his mind is not asleep. This is the highest extreme state of deep sleep. Oh my God, his mental state is so easy to break through. The mental state of deep sleep was divided into 3 stages. The first stage required a long period of meditation, breathing, and guidance before one could enter. The second stage could be entered at any time and anywhere. As for the last stage, it was possible to enter it while exercising. This was also the concept described by the ancient drunken fist. Infinite strength, tireless, ferocious punches, long-lasting stamina, and invincible skills. Now, Luohan and Serene were only in the second stage. They could enter deep sleep at any time and anywhere. As long as they exercised, the state of deep sleep would be lifted. Even so, they were peerless geniuses. Roar! Just as they ran into a valley, a loud roar came from ahead, and a fierce beast blocked the exit of the valley. This beast was the size of a rhinoceros, but its whole body was covered with scales, like iron armor, welded to its body piece by piece. Iron armor beast. Whether it was Xue Ling or Luo Han, both of them were stunned. A true space beast had appeared. Iron armor beast. Its whole body scales were stronger than steel, but its stamina was very strong, and it was very fast. When it jumped, the iron armor scales opened, and it could even glide in the air for a short distance. Its fastest speed was 30 meters per second. Even a speeding car could be knocked away. Seeing human beings appear, the iron armor beast's eyes were blood red, and it suddenly galloped over. It hit the three fiercely. "Get out of the way! Get out of the way!" Luohan and Serene hurriedly roared and dodged respectively, but Zhongli was still running, sprinting forward. Oh no! The two women regretted it greatly, knowing that Zhongli would probably be smashed to pieces this time. Boom! The galloping Zhongli, with his whole body covered in iron armor, collided with the real iron armor beast. It was like two speeding cars colliding with each other, causing a huge force that could destroy all flesh and blood. But in the next moment, Zhongli was not knocked away by the iron armor beast. He blocked the collision of the iron armor beast. The iron armor beast hit his body fiercely, and he blocked its head with both hands. His body was retreating, and his feet were pushed back, and countless gravel on the ground was crushed by the armor. Boom! He suddenly made a turn and slammed the iron box armor with both hands, slapping the huge iron armor beast out, and it fell to the ground. The iron armor beast's head made a cracking sound, kept twitching, and finally gradually became silent. He killed it directly. This was naked violence, with wild and domineering power, deeply shocked Luohan and Serene. At this moment, they felt that Zhongli in armor was like a humanoid Gundam. "Zhongli, how did you do it?" By the small river in the valley. He cut open the iron armor beast's brain with a knife and took out a heavy ball like fine iron. This was a precious or worth hundreds of star dollars. The brain of the iron armor beast produced this metal, which was used to forge weapons, armor, and even fighter jets. It was very useful for the bearings of cars. It was a special metal. This was the most precious thing of the iron armor beast. Zhongli gasped and woke up from the dream. The montage view disappeared, and his whole body was extremely sore and completely exhausted. It was really like a person who had taken a stimulant, and the drug had disappeared. In the state just now, his strength had almost doubled, and he was in a state of berserk. Plus the steel armor of 600 kilograms, he actually resisted the iron armor beast and killed it. Rest. This is a nutrient solution to replenish physical strength. Luohan handed him a vial of medicine. Zhongli peeled off his armor, but he was so tired that he could barely move. He grabbed the vial and swallowed it. A cool and refreshing feeling spread through his entire body, and every cell in his body was cheering in joy. After more than 10 minutes, his pain was greatly reduced. What kind of nutrient solution is this? It's so effective. This is snow marrow. Serene washed the long knife with water. One tube is 3,000 star dollars. It can enhance cell vitality, relieve muscle fatigue, and remove toxins from body. There are absolutely no side effects. Also, taking one tube can prevent you from eating or drinking for 3 days. The nutrition is enough. The medicine in your stomach combines with gastric acid, strengthening the gastric mucosa and greatly increasing your digestive ability. It's a level better than the Green God biomedicine. I didn't expect you to know so much. Luohan smiled. You also carry this thing, right? This is a special force field medicine. Of course I have to carry it. Serene looked at Zhongli. Zhongli, you seem to have comprehended something during your cultivation just now. I don't know. It seems that I accidentally fell into deep sleep during the exercise. It's like I'm sleepwalking. I don't know fatigue, and I have infinite strength. But after I get out of this state, I lose all my strength. Zhongli secretly recalled the situation just now. Congratulations, you've entered the 3rd stage of deep sleep. You'll be able to meditate soon. Luohan's tone was a little envious. The 3 stages of deep sleep. It's very likely that only you and Ouyang Xing have entered the top 10 in our school. Ouyang Xing can't meditate. Zhongli asked, is there no one in our school who can meditate? If he can meditate, he's already arrogant like a human. Serene and Luohan were not interested in this person. After resting for a while, Serene suddenly stood up. Zhongli, how about we spar? Okay. Zhongli couldn't have asked for more and immediately stood up. Be careful. The moment he stood up, Luohan hurriedly reminded him. At this time, Serene had already circled to his side and slashed at him with her palm. The wind from her palm tore through the air and fell down like an upside-down waterfall. Once hit, he would immediately faint. The place she cut was the carotid artery. C-class martial art, great river palm. Zhongli didn't need to be reminded and immediately reacted. He backhandedly used the black dragon turning back from the great dragon claw grappling technique. He didn't even need to use his eyes to look. His 5 fingers reached out and grabbed Serene's wrist. As long as she was grabbed, her wrist would immediately be pierced and her bones would be broken. Both of them used swift and fierce techniques. Chapter 39. All right. Serene's hands coiled and twisted inward, as if she was setting up a trap, waiting for a wild beast to enter the cage. She actually had the style of the martial arts master system. Her hands formed a circle and interlocked with each other, breaking all the bones. Zhongli retracted his arm and clawed again. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Claw shadows were everywhere, as if a raging fire was burning. Fire Dragon Burns. This move emphasized speed, surprise, and ferocious attacks. It was done in one go and defeated the enemy. It was like a fire dragon spitting fire everywhere, burning the earth. Jiang Li's claws clawed more than 10 times in a second. Each claw was like a flame, faintly leaving afterimages. Amazing. Serene's expression was very solemn, but she didn't retreat. She flipped her wrist and slapped outwards, using the C-grade martial art Great River Palm again. Every slap brought along a ferocious air wave, tearing and rumbling, like raging waves beating the shore, clashing with Jiang Li's dragon claw grappling hand. Every time they clashed, there was an astonishing power. The two of them quickly clashed. Fists and feet had no eyes, and it was purely a martial arts battle. A slight mistake would result in broken tendons and broken bones. Luohan watched without blinking, hoping to find a flaw in Serene's martial arts. She and Serene had been competitors since young, and they never gave way to each other. Even their families competed with each other. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, a sound came from the tall bushes at the entrance of the valley. It seemed like something was approaching at high speed. Luohan's ears twitched, and she felt a suffocating feeling in her heart. Not good. Quickly stop. Something dangerous is approaching. Swoosh, swoosh. Jiang Li and Serene, who were fighting, instantly separated. Both of them felt extreme danger. They didn't even have time to put on their armor before they saw figures leaping out from the bushes. That's right, they were figures. It was not a jungle beast, nor was it a creature from another planet, but a human. Jiang Li, Serene, and Luohan gathered together and quickly formed an equilateral triangle. They looked at the humans that came out of the bushes. These humans were obviously not from the army, nor were they students who came for the trial. They were wearing tattered clothes. Some of them were wearing animal skins, but their auras were very strong. There were also a few who were wearing intact clothes. They were dressed in white and seemed to be ancient people. They were holding long swords and spears in their hands. They seemed to be warriors from the era of cold weapons. Extraterrestrial demons. A white-clothed leader walked out. His clothes were somewhat tattered, and his face was covered with dust. His expression was resolute and gave off a strong aura. He looked to be around 27 or 28 years old, and he held a sharp sword that flashed with cold light. His eyes were like stars, and he gave off a charming aura. Both Shuel Ling and Luo Han were stunned for a moment because this white-robed leader was simply too handsome and had too much temperament. Compared to him, all the other handsome guys in the school were simply a pile of trash. However, when these 4 words came out of the white-clothed leader's mouth, they were actually in Earth's language. This shocked the 3 of them, and they understood what they had encountered. Extraterrestrial warriors. Living humans. Earth's humans had invaded their world, plundered their resources, and imprisoned them in a military-restricted zone. Their civilization was very low-level, still in the feudal era, but they were a martial arts civilization. Could it be that these are extraterrestrial warriors? Are we going to fight with them now, and even kill them? Zhongli said carefully. That's right, they are extraterrestrial warriors. Luohan's expression was extremely solemn. They call us extraterrestrial demons. There is no possibility of compromise between the two sides. They want to kill us to eliminate the demons. When we fight later, we can't be merciful. So powerful, this group of extraterrestrial warriors, each of their vitality is almost at one, and this white-clothed leader is even stronger than us. Serene's tone was not calm. This was a real head-on confrontation. If it was a monster, they wouldn't be afraid. But in front of them were living humans, and they had to fight each other. For the students, this was already a test of blood and fire. Everyone, the white-clothed leader pointed his sword at Zhongli, Luohan, and Serene. His voice suddenly became sorrowful, agitated, resentful, and murderous. Extraterrestrial demons invaded our home, killed our compatriots, plundered our treasures, captured our children as slaves, and imprisoned me in the jungle as a test subject for you. These demons are cruel. Why didn't the heavens destroy them? The man holding the sword let out a long, sorrowful roar. His voice shook, penetrated gold, and cracked stone. It actually made Zhongli, Luohan, and Serene feel dizzy. An aura of broken family, deep hatred, and resentment accumulated in his chest. He hated the heavens, the earth, and all living beings emitted from his body. Whether it was Luohan or Zhongli, they were all frightened. They felt that compared to this man, any student expert was just a child's play. This man was the real god of death who walked out of the mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Zhongli could actually understand the man's language. It was the human language of the earth, but it was intermittent. Obviously, this man had learned the human language of the earth, but his tone was very strange, stiff, and full of killing intent. Zhongli, Serene, now we are at a critical moment of life and death. This white-clothed leader is the strongest, and his hatred for us humans is as deep as the sea. If we fall into his hands, we will definitely not have a good ending. We must fight with our lives. Luohan suddenly said, Serene and I will directly kill this leader. Zhongli, you take care of the others. Don't hold back. They will definitely kill us if we don't kill them. Finally, it was time to start killing. Zhongli hesitated for a moment, but then he became firm. He didn't kill on purpose, but in self-defense. Moreover, in the current situation, the enemy outnumbered him, and it was not certain who would kill who. Kill! The white-clothed leader suddenly attacked. His body arched, and his whole body bounced up. His long sword was like a rainbow, slashing straight over. Zhongli could even clearly hear his big spine suddenly bouncing up, like the tearing sound of a bowstring being pulled. This sword was about 50 meters away, and in less than 2 seconds, the sword light arrived in front of the three people. The three people hurriedly scattered. Swoosh! A deep ravine was plowed on the ground by the sword light. It could be seen that this white-clothed man's swordsmanship was at the peak, and his vitality was also beyond one. The only drawback was that the long years of living in the jungle had consumed a lot of his physical strength, and the wind and frost had eroded his body. This was also the only chance for Zhongli and the others to survive, or they would die. Serene, attack. Luohan held the soft sword in one hand, and suddenly, many steel needles flew toward the white-clothed man like locusts. Luohan was good at using needles, and she appeared and disappeared unpredictably. The steel needles that filled the sky were thrown out by her hand, and their penetrating power could pierce through tempered glass. Swish! The white-clothed leader raised his sword, and the sword light was fast, 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 fast. It turned into an arc of lightning, and in a flash, all the steel needles were intercepted. Then he bounced in the air, and his footsteps were like wolves and tigers. He took the position, and with a swing of his long sword, it was as sharp as a spring swallow, aiming for Luohan's neck. If it hit, Luohan's neck would immediately be cut off, and even her head would be cut off. This was not a virtual scene, but a real fight. It could be said that students would never encounter such danger in their lifetime. A bloody battle unfolded just like that. Zhongli didn't think much and attacked with all his strength. These people were captives, and they were very pitiful. But now that he was surrounded and in a weak position, he didn't think much about it. Protecting himself and protecting his classmates was the most important thing. Roar! 7 or 8 alien warriors suddenly rushed over. First Demon Tasha. First Demon Tasha. They shouted slogans, and their killing intent boiled. Their hatred for their country gathered together, and they launched a fierce attack on Zhongli. Their slogans were in alien language that he couldn't understand, but Zhongli could still figure out the meaning, and that was slay the demons. In their eyes, Zhongli and the others were not humans, but extraterrestrial demons. A long spear was the first to arrive. The spearhead was dripping with blood, and it was unknown how many wild beasts it had killed. The long spear trembled nonstop, and with an arc, the spear aimed for the throat. In an instant, Zhongli only felt that his eyes, throat, heart, genitals, all the vital parts of his body were enveloped by the spear. The opponent was a master of spear techniques. With a single spear strike, all the escape routes were blocked, leaving no room for retreat. The one wielding the spear was an alien warrior dressed in animal skin. His clothes had long been tattered, and it seemed like he had lived in the jungle for a long time. He was weather-beaten, but he didn't have the slightest bit of a wild temperament. It seemed like he had a pretty good status on his original planet. Zhongli didn't retreat. He couldn't retreat now, because if he did, the opponent's spear would turn to Luohan and Serene. The pressure on them would increase greatly, and it was very likely that they would be killed on the spot by the white-clothed leader. Dragon. Under the immense pressure, he grabbed the spearhead with his claw and used the azure dragon emerges from water of the dragon claw capturing technique. This time, he also secretly used a dragon claw imprint of the great emperor's soul seal. In his mind, he meditated for a moment, and he turned into a divine dragon, roaming the universe. Suddenly, he let out a long roar, and the stars fell. At the same time, a faint dragon roar came from the depths of his throat. It was a sound wave formed by a stream of chi gathering in his stomach and suddenly rushing out of his body. At the same time, his hand gestures were trembling like a dream, and there were illusions. When the extraterrestrial native saw this, his spear technique became sluggish. His entire mind was affected, and he was hypnotized. Of course, it wasn't a complete hypnosis, but a dazed state. It could be seen that this person's mind was also very strong, and it wasn't easy to hypnotize him. Fortunately, this delay revealed a fatal flaw. In a fight between experts, the slightest mistake could lead to 1,000 miles of error. Crack! Zhongli blocked it, and the dragon claw capturing technique had already grabbed the spear body. He closed in and ruthlessly slashed the extraterrestrial warrior's neck artery with his palm. The extraterrestrial warrior directly collapsed, knocked out. Zhongli didn't even look at it. He snatched the spear and suddenly shook it, blocking 4 or 5 blades, swords, and spears that came slashing at him. This spear was forged from metal, and its entire body weighed about 40 to 50 kilograms. It was very difficult to shake it, but with Zhongli's vitality of 1, it wasn't much different from a wooden stick. It was effortless. With a spear in hand, the weapon's power increased greatly. Zhongli faced the encirclement of many extraterrestrial warriors, but he wasn't afraid at all. There were about 4 or 5 extraterrestrial warriors besieging him. Their vitality should be 1, which was already extremely terrifying, and it would be difficult for them to fight one-on-one. Fortunately, Zhongli's Soul Emperor seal had been fused into martial arts, and it had the ability to hypnotize them. In addition, these extraterrestrial warriors lived in the jungle all year round, and they didn't have much nutrition, so their physical strength was declining. How could they compare to Zhongli and the others who ate and drank, well, every day? Originally, Zhongli could have killed the spear warrior with that strike, just now. However, since he could hold back, he didn't kill him. It was best to knock him out and make him lose his combat strength. Chapter 40. The alien warriors in the surroundings once again rushed over. First was the spear warrior. The spear in his hand was a snake spear. With a slight thrust, he arrived at Zhongli's side. Then, several warriors wielding sabers and swords also attacked from behind. The swords and sabers were about to pierce through all of Jiang Li's defenses. Danger was approaching. With so many experts attacking together, even if Jiang Li had 3 heads and 6 arms, he wouldn't be able to block them. Storm Spear. In the face of danger, he used the spear as a saber and performed the storm slash. A saber master would brandish his saber in the storm. After the storm, not a single drop of water could be seen. That was Serene's ultimate technique. Right now, he was being attacked from all directions. All he could do was protect himself and retreat before thinking about anything else. Spear shadows surged, blocking in all directions. Clang, clang, clang. Sparks flew everywhere, accompanied by the roar of swords and spears. Killing intent seethed, hatred as deep as the sea. Every time they collided, Jiang Li's spirit could feel his opponent's determination to kill him. His opponent's selfless sacrifice was terrifying to the extreme. He had never experienced such a life and death battle. Even when he fought with the illusion fox, he was just running away. The illusion fox's killing intent wasn't this strong. Pucci. Jiang Li retreated violently. Behind a huge rock, his body was covered in blood, and his clothes were cut by the swords and sabers. Especially on his shoulder, there was a spear wound that penetrated deep into his skin. Blood dyed half of his body red. This was the result of the spear warrior's attack. Using a spear to perform the storm slash wasn't convenient. Jiang Li's defense was broken, which showed that his combat experience wasn't enough. His martial arts and mind weren't at their peak yet. The intense pain caused the muscles in his body to twitch. First, Demon Tasha. Seeing that Jiang Li was injured, the spear warrior leaped up and attacked with his spear. He was like a swordfish in the sea, splitting the waves. Jiang Li blocked with all his might. Clang! Jiang Li's arm felt numb, as if he couldn't hold the spear anymore. After all, it was difficult for 2 fists to fight against 4 hands. With so many people surrounding him, and all of them were martial arts experts with rich combat experience, he was just a student. Although his physical strength was tyrannical, it was still insufficient in a real fight. First, Devil Tasha. The other 4 to 5 extraterrestrial warriors quickly surrounded them. Their bodies were more agile than a grasshopper, and their movements were faster than a cheetah. An alien warrior wielding a long blade dashed forward. He looked like a gopher, but also like an ancient Japanese ninja. His blade technique surged, sweeping across the ground, and a bright light whistled through the air. Jiang Li hurriedly retreated as he felt a strong threat of death. Voila! He had nowhere to retreat. His feet stepped into the small river in the valley, and his movements were greatly hindered. Tasha! The planet warrior rushed up again, laughing and shouting. Jiang Li understood that Tasha meant kill or slash. First Devil Tasha was to kill a demon, to slay a demon. Woo woo woo. The spear planet warrior shook his spear, and a strange whistling sound suddenly rose. The spear seemed slow and heavy, but in fact it was extremely fast. It cut through the air with the smell of iron, and fiercely attacked Jiang Li's head. At this time, the other sword warriors closed in, and the attack range from every angle was very tricky, cutting all the organs in Jiang Li's body. Right now, Jiang Li wasn't wearing armor, and once he was cut, he would immediately be dismembered. Am I going to die here? For the first time, Jiang Li felt that death was just a breath away from him. His spirit was highly concentrated, and the terror of life and death stimulated his potential. Deep sleep. Suddenly, he once again entered deep sleep during the movement, the mental state that he had just comprehended. In a crisis, he used all the strength in his body and attacked in all directions with his spear. His whole body danced like a dragon, and his spear technique knocked away all the swords. This was the foundation of the boneless dragon snake dance. In a state of deep sleep, his strength increased greatly, and it was even more ferocious than a stimulant. Of course, if he had practiced the boneless jiu-jitsu to perfection, he would have long died under the swords. Flowing water hypnosis. His spirit, in an instant, merged with the water under his feet and the airflow in the depths of his lower abdomen rose from his mouth, turning into a graceful and decadent sound, like the murmur of flowing water. This was sound hypnosis. Standing in the water, they suddenly encountered a sound, and when it entered the ears of the alien warriors, these warriors immediately slowed down, and their minds became confused. Originally, these alien warriors couldn't be hypnotized at all, and their will was extremely firm. However, Zhongli had advanced to the third stage of deep sleep, and his spiritual power had skyrocketed, and he had also comprehended a lot of the great Emperor's Soul Seal. Tasha, that spear warrior, seemed to feel that something was wrong. He was the strongest and was the first to wake up. He fiercely bit his tongue, and blood spurted out from his mouth. He actually woke up, and his spear aimed at Jiang Li's throat, wanting to cut off all of Jiang Li's vitality. At this time, Jiang Li had no time to think. His spear technique was like a divine dragon swinging its tail, and with a fierce swing, he actually used the Dragon Claw Grand Capture's Prairie Fire Dragon, strangling the spear and causing it to deviate. Pucci, the spear stabbed into his arm, and blood splattered. His spear, with a subconscious movement, Black Dragon turning back. This time, it ruthlessly stabbed into that spear warrior's heart. Bang! Like a balloon being punctured, that spear warrior's heart was pierced, and he fell on his back, twitching twice, and lost his vitality. He was killed by Jiang Li. This was purely a mutual exchange, and it was either you die or I die. There was no room for thinking at all. Jiang Li's body was covered in wounds, but the moment the spear pierced the warrior's heart, he felt an indescribable feeling in his heart. He didn't know if it was pain, sadness, or relief. Anyway, he understood a lot of things, and in an instant his whole person matured. Water. After killing the spear warrior with one spear, he made another sound. The water rippled, and the spear swayed. He actually used the great Emperor's seal on the spear. With a shake of the spear, it gave people the feeling of undulating water waves. Immediately, the surrounding planet warriors became drowsy, and they couldn't concentrate. Jiang Li was covered in blood. Taking advantage of this opportunity, his spear technique was like a dragon, suddenly striking the heads of these planet warriors. Bang! 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 4 or 5 planet warriors were sent flying into the water and fainted. Jiang Li still controlled his murderous intent and did not kill them. He had a very strong sense of kindness in his heart. This had appeared when he fed the stray cats. It was a respect for life. Otherwise, if an ordinary person had started killing, he might as well vent the demons in his heart. How are Luohan and Serene? He ended the battle and looked towards the valley, only to find 3 figures fighting fiercely. Serene and Luohan besieged the white-clothed swordsman. Their bodies were also covered in blood, and there were many injuries. Every sword strike of the white-clothed swordsman took lives. His murderous aura was monstrous, and his battle intent was extremely strong, containing the hatred of the country and family. And Serene and Luohan were much worse in comparison. After all, neither of them had killed before. First Demon Tasha. Suddenly, the white-clothed swordsman erupted again, and his sword technique shone like an arc of lightning, like a peacock spreading its tail. Clang! The sword in Serene's hand was knocked away by the long sword. Then, the cruel light of the sword swept past her snow-white neck. Her eyes were filled with fear, and her body retreated. But the sharp edge of the sword cut through skin. Blood splattered. A sword cut through the throat. Serene's throat was cut by the white-clothed swordsman's sword. The blood that splattered deeply stimulated Jiang Li's eyes, and his vision was blood-red. The beautiful female classmate fell in blood just like that. At this moment, he felt the cruelty of survival. Even a beast trapped in a cage was very dangerous. Serene. Jiang Li's vision was hazy, and his adrenaline rose rapidly. Swoosh! The long spear in his hand left his hand, and with a series of whistling sounds, he threw it towards the white-clothed swordsman. Jiang Li entered the dream of divine power state, and his physical strength was a full 2 times stronger. With a throw, the long spear crossed tens of meters like lightning, posing a serious threat to the white-clothed swordsman. Luohan, save Serene. Jiang Li threw the long spear, flipped over, and picked up a long sword, and fiercely rushed out, drawing a straight line, like a fierce tiger descending the mountain. He slashed towards the white-clothed swordsman. Serene, Serene. At this time, Luohan retreated and grabbed Serene. Die. The white-clothed swordsman spoke in the human language of Earth, and with a shake of his sword, he chased after them again, wanting to cut the two girls into pieces. It was extremely dangerous. At this time, the long spear had already pierced through his back. If he continued to attack, he would be able to kill the two girls, but he would also die from the spear piercing through his heart. He turned around to block. The long spear bounced up high, but his long sword trembled, and many cracks appeared on it. Jiang Li's strength was too strong. After entering the dream of divine power state, he had clearly surpassed him. Deflecting the long spear, Jiang Li rushed over with a whirlwind. His long sword slashed down, tearing the air apart, and descended like a storm. Damn it! The white-clothed swordsman felt that Jiang Li's blade technique was extremely strong, and the speed was extremely fast. He couldn't help but grit his teeth, and with a spin of the long sword in his hand, it drew many arcs, drawing the blade's edge. Jiang Li only felt that every time he clashed with the sword, his strength would be diverted. His opponent's sword technique was exquisite, borrowing force to fight force. It had reached the pinnacle of the realm of millimeters. And his arms, shoulders, and entire body were covered in wounds, and blood was still flowing nonstop. If this battle continued, it was very likely that he would be killed. Rain. Suddenly, Jiang Li once again executed the rainstorm slash. His spirit was meditating on a rainstorm. Every strand of his spirit transformed into raindrops that fell onto the ground. The sound of the saber cutting through the air and the sound of his breathing became one. The rain fell on the banana leaves, and it gave off the feeling of a heavy downpour. Especially the blade light, as it flickered, it would confuse people's eyes, causing them to feel drowsy, entering a hypnotic state. With the change of the blade technique, the white-clothed swordsman's spirit was greatly shaken. He couldn't concentrate, and he was extremely tired, about to fall asleep. Slash! Jiang Li's long blade spun, reaching the white-clothed swordsman's arm, causing fresh blood to spurt out. He was injured. Otherworldly demon. The white-clothed swordsman's eyes were bloodshot, and he bit his tongue, causing fresh blood to spurt out. His spirit was incomparably focused, trying his best to break free from the hypnosis. His long sword continued to strike, and his sword became like the wind, chasing after the wind to take lives. Each move was like a venomous snake, biting at people's hearts. Kill! Jiang Li didn't move, and his long blade changed, merging the Spirit Emperor seal into his blade technique. With a loud rumble, the blade trembled, and there was the sound of thunder. Each of his blade was fiercer than the previous, and he didn't care about the blood on his body at all. He was like Xing Tian, fighting even when his head was severed. This was a mental state that had completely surpassed the limits of the physical body. A life and death struggle. Chapter 41. Blade and sword clashed. The white shirt leader was forced back 3 steps. Before he could recover, Jiang Li's blade attacked once more. This time, it changed once more. The blade wind howled, and everything was white. Finally, Jiang Li was able to merge the Great Heart Emperor seal into battle, and its strength increased greatly. The beautiful blade light could hypnotize him. The sound waves could hypnotize him. Even the breathing rhythm could hypnotize him. The white shirt leader seemed to have entered a dream, and his sword became slower and slower. Voila! Jiang Li swung his saber again and unexpectedly chopped off one of the white-clothed leader's arms. Blood gushed out like a fountain. First Demon Tasha. The white-clothed leader had lost an arm, but the intense pain made him suddenly wake up, stimulating his spirit from his drowsy state. He seemed to know that he had failed, and his eyes flashed fiercely, showing the conviction to perish together with the enemy. His sword shook, and his body turned blood red. He suddenly slashed, and an intense light shone. No one was able to block it, and it stabbed into Jiang Li's chest. At that moment, Jiang Li slashed once more at his waist, causing his intestines and organs to spill out. No matter what, he wouldn't be able to survive. Originally, he should have blocked Jiang Li's blade, but he chose to die together. Not only did he not block, but he also advanced, allowing the blade to cut deeper. This way, he could get close to Jiang Li and use the sword to stab his chest. Jiang Li's chest was stabbed. He retracted his blade and slashed, breaking the sword to prevent him from pulling it out and causing blood to spurt out. Tragic, tragic. This battle was incomparably miserable. Put on. The white shirt leader fell to the ground, and his eyes lost focus. As for Jiang Li, he didn't pull his sword out, and it was still stabbed in his chest. The power hadn't dissipated, and he was still standing there. Why? The white-robed leader fell to the ground, but he struggled to sit up and stared at Jiang Li. Our home is being ravaged by you demons. I can't accept this. I can't accept dying like this. My family, my brothers, my sisters. Why? Why is destiny on your side, destiny? When Jiang Li heard these two words, his heart was filled with desolation. He had defeated his opponent, but he didn't feel the slightest bit happy. Race, survival, universe, family. These words weighed heavily on his heart, making him feel indescribably uncomfortable. Dream of 1,000 autumns. What year is it today? Suddenly, the white-clothed leader lowered his eyes and murmured, I really hope that this is a dream. When I wake up, I will return to my home, the paddy fields, the yellow dogs, the fruit trees, the girl next door. My father, my mother. I'm back. The voice was spoken in the human language of Earth. It was very soft and had no murderous intent. He's dead. He didn't return to his home. He died on the other side of the starry sky. Jiang Li fell to the ground with a thud. He couldn't move his body, but he didn't faint. His consciousness was very clear. This battle was a life and death struggle, and he had become a true warrior. His body was covered in wounds, especially the sword that was deeply pierced in his chest. He didn't care. Deep in his heart, there was peace. Jiang Li, how are you? Luohan hurriedly ran over and took out a precious medicine. Qi, qi, qi. After a series of spurts, the blood stopped flowing. His cells were wriggling, and in a short while, the injuries on his body had completely stopped. Jiang Li, eat this pill. Then, she took out a pill. A fragrance assailed his nostrils. What is this? Jiang Li forced himself to say, it seems very precious. This is a bioactivity enhancement pill. After taking it, it will protect your life functions. The sword in your chest is too deep. I'm going to pull it out to stop the bleeding, but once I pull it out, blood will spurt out. You have to take medicine. Luohan hurriedly said, Where's Serene? Jiang Li didn't care about his injuries. Her throat was cut, but I treated her in time. Now it's connected. It's just a little difficult to breathe, but she'll recover later because she brought the precious cell regeneration hematopoietic spray, Luohan said. Then I'm relieved. Modern technology was very advanced. As long as a person didn't die immediately, there was always a possibility of treatment. This was especially so for this kind of rich young lady. She carried a lot of precious medicine with her. Some are even secret medicines in the army. Even if her arm was cut off, she could immediately connect it, spray medicine, and bandage it. After a long time, after surgery, she could recover to her original state. At this time, Serene had already sat up. Her face was pale, and her throat was wrapped in a biological bandage. As she spoke, her voice was hoarse. Almost. If I hadn't retreated in time, not only would my throat have been cut, but my head would have been cut off. Then, nothing could be saved. It's good that you're fine. It's good that you're fine. Jiang Li's whole body was exhausted, and his eyes were blurred. You have your home, your parents, and a little girl next door. I also have my home, my parents, and my classmates. We're all protecting the important things. No matter how cruel the universe is, I have to protect them. They won't become the second you. Hearing Jiang Li's words, Serene and Luohan's eyes flashed. As they spoke, Jiang Li took the pill from Luohan and consumed it. As expected, he felt his body was very cool, and he was full of energy. He grabbed the long sword at his chest and pulled it out. Rip! Blood spurted out. The large amount of blood loss made him dizzy, and he almost fainted. He felt weak. If he hadn't taken the biological cell activation medicine, he might have fainted and suffered great damage. Luohan quickly sprayed medicine, and the wound immediately coagulated, no longer bleeding. She then applied some precious medicine on it. Only then did Jiang Li's face look better. "Luohan, I'm fine. You should also bandage your wounds," Jiang Li said. After the battle, the three of them were covered in wounds, and they had almost died under the sword. This battle experience was soul-stirring, and everyone felt that they had benefited a lot. The three of them quietly bandaged their wounds, comprehending the experience they had gained this time. It could be said that this was the most important experience in their lives. They had gone through several life and death situations. If it weren't for the modern high-tech biological medicine, they would have been dead by now. Serene, who had her throat cut, would not have survived. Everyone felt that they had grown. This was especially so for Jiang Li. He had never killed anyone before, but in this battle, he had killed 2 people. The first time was an unconscious battle, and the second time was because Serene's throat was cut. He gave up everything and fought to the death with the other party. These 2 killing experiences were both melancholy and a kind of relief for him. He was thinking about this emotion, calmly thinking about the changes in his heart. Some people are not dead. They were knocked unconscious, Luohan said. What should we do with them? I'll take care of them. Serene stood up. Her throat had just been cut, and she had come back from the gates of hell. She hated these alien warriors very much. Jiang Li's lips moved. Forget it. These people will die sooner or later. Let's not care about them. Don't let killing blind your heart. Let's go. All right. Shui Ling smiled. She had originally wanted to kill those alien warriors who had been knocked out, but Jiang Li had reminded her that killing people who had no ability to resist would only stain her hands with more blood. It wasn't a good thing. After all, they were just students. After resting for a while, the 3 of them felt that their strength had recovered, and they quickly left the Bloody Valley. With the support of modern technology and medicine, their injuries were nothing. Of course, these medicines were difficult to obtain and expensive. Commoners could not enjoy them at all. Only people like Luohan and Serene, who had a family fortune of over 100 million and were nurtured by the rich and powerful, could have them. The Shui family and the Zhou family were both large families. They had a fortune of over 100 million. But it was impossible for the other children of their families to carry such expensive medicines. Luohan and Serene were both outstanding students and were hopeful to be admitted to Starry Sky University. They naturally enjoyed all kinds of huge resources provided by their families. After the battle, the 3 of them shuttled through the jungle, donning armors to protect themselves. They each experienced the results of their own cultivation, and each of them felt that they had made great progress. Especially Jiang Li, he killed 2 alien warriors in a life and death battle, and the outcome was decided in an instant. His spiritual cultivation had been tempered by actual combat, and he had begun to grow. As for the various martial arts, boneless flexibility technique, great dragon claw grappling technique, and great soul emperor seal, he had become more proficient in using them. Moreover, he found that he could easily enter the dream of divine power state, entering a deep sleep while exercising and fighting. His body was not afraid of pain, danger, and fear, and he had infinite strength and stamina. But after the state was lifted, his body would feel weak and exhausted, and it would be difficult to recover. However, once he recovered, his physical strength would increase. This was an extreme training method. There's the smell of blood ahead. Luohan suddenly stopped, her face solemn. They had been traveling through the jungle for 5 days. During these 5 days, they encountered many alien monsters, but they were all daunting but not dangerous, and did not encounter any alien warriors. This was a military-restricted area, originally used for training, and there certainly would not be anything too powerful here. In 5 days, with the support of medicines and super nutritional supplements, the 3 of them had completely recovered, and all of them had made progress. They felt much stronger than when they were at school. Zhongli, Serene, and Luohan formed a team and also shared a lot of benefits. At least the things they ate and drank were tonics that they could not normally come into contact with. Of course, Zhongli also played the role of guardian. Several times when the three of them encountered danger, he was the one to solve the problem. His spirit and mind were strengthening step by step, and his sixth sense was very sensitive, often unconsciously aware of sudden danger. Once, the three of them passed by a cliff, and just as they were about to cross, Zhongli suddenly felt danger and immediately stopped. Sure enough, when they stopped, many huge rocks from the cliff in front of them slid down, and if they took a few steps forward, they would be smashed to pieces. After this happened a few times, the two girls were surprised that Zhongli's spiritual cultivation seemed to have surpassed them. People with strong spiritual cultivation could indeed sense some sudden danger, but they had not reached this level. I also smell blood. Let's go take a look. Zhongli walked over, and the jungle spread out, revealing a small open space about 10,000 square meters, on which many wooden houses were built. There were people living in the jungle. Slash and burn, hunting. There was only one possibility for people who could live in the jungle of the military area, and that was the settlement of alien warriors. They were placed here by the army, and in order to survive, they could only build houses and hunt for survival. The moment they saw the open space in the jungle, the moment they saw the wooden houses, they were highly nervous, ready to fight at any time. However, they only saw corpses all over the ground. Chapter 42. Sure enough, they were alien warriors. Some were lying on the ground with deep wounds on their bodies, while others had their heads smashed open. There were at least dozens of corpses. In addition to adult men, there were also women and children. The smell of blood attracted a large number of jungle flies and mosquitoes. A large swarm of them buzzed around, making people feel nauseous. This is the residence of an alien warrior. They were killed by someone very powerful. Look at the battle marks. Luohan pointed to a broken sword in the distance. This sword was broken by someone's hand. If I'm not wrong, this should be a sea-level martial art, the Dragon Roar Iron Shirt. It's very difficult to practice. Only one person in the school has completely mastered it, and that's Ouyang Xing. The Dragon Roar Iron Shirt was an ancient martial art. After mastering it, one's entire body would be covered in steel, iron, and copper. It could withstand beatings and possess extraordinary strength. In modern society, this ancient martial art, coupled with many body-strengthening medicines, was more powerful than in ancient times. In fact, modern society was rich in resources. Anyone who trained hard would have leaps and bounds in martial arts compared to ancient times. Too ruthless, they didn't even spare a child. Even Snow Spirit could not bear to watch a child, about 5 or 6 years old, being thrown to death on a tree. Although the alien warriors were enemies, they knew that it was only right to kill the enemy in a battle. This was the law of the jungle. However, killing an enemy who was defenseless was a moral issue. In ancient times, there was a policy of not killing captives. I didn't expect Ouyang Xing to be so cruel. Luohan shook her head. Did he do it for the first prize? I think the military arranged this trial to violate human morality. Shirin couldn't bear to watch. Let's go. It's too miserable here. The military has their considerations. Zhongli thought for a moment. Most humans can't tolerate such a thing happening, but we are students who want to enter Star University. We stand on a different level. In order for humanity to survive in the universe, we must do this. Otherwise, if we encounter a more powerful civilization, we humans may end up like them, locked in a cage and used as experimental subjects. He had thought a lot these days. Yes, Luohan said, when we study history, the first lesson is about 200 years ago, when that alien spaceship landed on Earth and caused a world war between various countries. Later on, humans studied the alien spaceship and discovered that its technology far surpassed that of humans. The information left behind was that the spaceship had come to conquer Earth. Yeah, every time I read this part of history, I break out in a cold sweat for the humans on Earth. Shirin shuddered as well. If it wasn't for the accidental fall of that alien spaceship, we humans on Earth might have perished, or we might have become lab rats. Our technology has advanced by at least 2,000 years. Yes, according to the normal development of human civilization, we will only have the ability to jump through wormholes after 2,000 years, and this is under the condition that Earth's resources are not depleted. In fact, in the era when the various countries on Earth are fighting each other, a large amount of resources are consumed in the infighting. It is very likely that humans will not be able to walk out of the starry sky before they perish. Zhongli shook his head. Humans on Earth are a race blessed by God. Luohan exclaimed. Could it be that the leader in white was right? Humans on Earth are blessed by God? The three of them were recalling the human history that they had learned. Since 2050, when the alien spaceship had fallen, there had been a drastic change. Their civilization had begun to explode. What was it if not God? What was it if not God's will? Every time they read about this part of history, humans on Earth would strive to improve themselves. If they slacked off, they would be conquered and their entire race would be wiped out. Although humans on Earth were so powerful that they could conquer other planets, they dared not slack off at all. The universe was boundless. Who knew if they would encounter a more powerful civilization? Moreover, humans on Earth might not be able to defeat the civilization that the spaceship was in because humans on Earth had yet to find out where the civilization originated from. The Dream Heart Sutra that Zhongli had obtained should be a martial art from another planet. Although the inheritor said that the person who obtained the Dream Heart Sutra would inherit the will and kill all the demons from outer space, it was impossible for Zhongli to do that. He was a human on Earth. His brothers, sisters, parents, and classmates were all demons from outer space. It was not normal for a human to kill himself. No matter what, he had to protect the humans on Earth, his home. Meanwhile, he basically did not care about the consciousness of the man in white in the sewer. What a joke. A remnant of consciousness was enough to turn him against humanity. Zhongli was not that stupid. The three of them left the bloody settlement and continued to move forward. They were fast. Theoretically, they should be able to reach the other exit of the military-restricted zone within 10 days. After the massacre in the jungle, the three of them had the urge to return to the modern city as soon as possible. Along the way, the three of them encountered some scattered corpses of extraterrestrial warriors. They were all killed by someone, and their vitality was completely severed in a single move, showing the extremely strong physical strength and vitality of the combatants. It was all done by Ouyangxing. In this student trial, Ouyangxing's quality was clearly much better than everyone else. Look, Ouyangxing is right ahead. Jiang Li and the other two followed the trail. A long time later, a river appeared before them all of a sudden, blocking their way. A person stood by the river, seemingly thinking about how to cross it. That person was the #1 powerhouse in the school, Ouyangxing. Ouyangxing, Serene, and Luohan greeted him. After that, everyone took off their armor. Now that they were facing the river, it was impossible for them to wear their armor. After fighting in the jungle for so long, this was the first time they met a classmate. No matter how bad the classmate was, they all felt a sense of familiarity. This was the feeling of meeting an old friend in a foreign land. Ouyangxing turned around abruptly. He was not wearing his armor. That armor was in his hand. Clearly, he was training himself and did not need the protection of the armor. What a heavy killing intent. Zhongli noticed that this person was emitting a chilling aura. Ordinary people might not be able to sense it, but for Jiang Li, who was very sensitive to spiritual cultivation, he could clearly feel it. It seemed that because Ouyangxing had killed too many people, he was possessed by a demon and was being haunted by evil spirits. He was not willing to get close to this person. Of course, it was impossible for him to be haunted by evil spirits. Even if modern technology was so advanced, science still had not proven the existence of spirits and ghosts. However, killing too many people would cause one's mentality to be twisted. It was not impossible for a heart demon to be born in the depths of one's heart. Oh, it's Luohan, Sharon. Ouyangxing also greeted them, but he did not even look at Jiang Li, as if he did not exist. You guys moved very fast and left the others far behind. You can actually keep up with my footsteps? Looks like this big river blocked your way. How we cross it? Luohan could tell that Yangxing was very arrogant. Her face instantly turned cold. With your ability, even if you carry a 200-kilogram armor, you can still swim across the other side. I don't think it's that easy. Zhongli looked at the deep river. The other side was at least 1 kilometer away. The river was very deep, and the current was very rapid. Furthermore, he could vaguely feel danger from it, as if there was something scary lurking in it. There are piranhas, crocodiles, and a kind of alien fish called bonefish. They are very aggressive. Just like crabs, their bones grow on the outside, and they can drill through mountains. Their speed in the water is 30 meters per second. When they sprint, they can even pierce through a human body. Yangxing said coldly, "You guys swim to the other side. I will not stop you." Zhongli, what do you think? How do we cross? Serene asked. It can't be any simpler. Zhongli said, there are tall trees all around. We can chop them down and tie them together to make them sturdier. That way, we can directly cross the river. That's simple. MHM? Yangxing was startled. He had never thought of such a simple method. When he encountered this big river, the first thing he thought of was how to forcefully swim across. He didn't expect that he would neglect the simplest method of using tools. This was a kind of knowledge barrier. After a person's brain developed, they would be able to understand all sorts of profound things, but they would often neglect the simplest and most ordinary truth. Or perhaps, when a person cultivated, they would place too much faith in their physical body and neglect how to use tools. This was a huge disadvantage in spiritual cultivation. Swish! Yangxing's eyes looked at Zhongli. What's your name? Zhongli. Sensing the dense hostility, Zhongli was startled. It can't be. Such a small matter actually made him angry? You mean the student who improved by leaps and bounds in this examination and whose vitality reached 1? Yangxing calmed down and nodded. That's right, I know you. Your family isn't rich, but to be able to cultivate to this level, it seems like you have talent. I don't dare to say that I have talent, but I do have some experience in cultivation. Zhongli wasn't the slightest bit afraid. If an ordinary person stood before Yangxing, they would feel pressured by his aura and subconsciously retreat. This was because his vitality was too strong. However, Zhongli acted as if nothing had happened. After the battle with the white-clothed leader and the other alien warriors, his spiritual cultivation had deepened to the next level. Yangxing was very strong, but he didn't care. He was very calm. Then let me see how strong you are. Bang! Yangxing attacked as soon as he said he would. He sent out a palm strike, and a strong wind blew up. There was a clap of thunder on the ground, and even the air exploded. Even if they weren't hit, they would still feel dizzy from the shock. This was a true martial art. The fist arts of Zhang Yu and Zheng Wenbing were simply too weak compared to Yangxing. This was a D-grade martial art, military body explosive fist. It couldn't be considered a profound martial art, but there was subtlety within the ordinary. Military body explosive fist, the moves were simple and clear. Every punch was a jab, and it was a series of attacks. Coupled with the pace, the attacks were ferocious. One jab, one chi explosion. This was the true mystery of the military body explosive fist. With Zhang Yu's physique, it would already be considered good if he could unleash the 8-9 explosion. Following that, his fist technique would be weak, and it couldn't be considered a martial art at all. But now, Yangxing used his palm as a fist and suddenly changed, stabbing and exploding. In the blink of an eye, there were explosions like firecrackers, causing people to lose their sense of direction. Zhongli knew that the incoming attack was ferocious and didn't dare to be negligent. He had long been prepared. His body was soft and weak as he danced like a dragon. Boneless dragon snake dance. After more than 10 punches, Yangxing didn't even touch Zhongli's body. Chapter 43. Boneless dragon snake dance. You actually cultivated it well. Yangxing's face became even colder as he let out a long roar. A dragon roar and tiger roar rushed out from his mouth. His body seemed to have become thicker as his strength and speed increased a lot. Be careful. This is the dragon roar iron skin technique. Luohan and Shiren warned in unison. With this chi, Ouyang Xing's palm became much fatter, and the color was dark green like an iron hand. With an ear-piercing whistling sound, he fiercely grabbed. Jiang Li's eyes suddenly lit up as his vision became montage. He once again entered the god dream state. The adrenaline in his body also skyrocketed as he also punched out. Broken bones and broken boulders. Rumble. The fists of the two collided, and they both retreated 7 or 8 steps. It was actually a draw. Kacha. Jiang Li's whole body's bones cracked, and so did Ouyang Xing's. The two of them stared at each other, not daring to act rashly. Powerful. Jiang Li was shocked, and the god dream state was removed. His whole body began to ache, and he needed to rest for a while before he could enter again. At this time, if Ouyang Xing attacked again, he would definitely not be able to resist. After all, Ouyang Xing's vitality was already 1. One when he took the exam, and he was only 1. The difference of 0. One was quite big. However, Ouyang Xing did not attack. It was obvious that he was also very worried. With Luohan and Serene glaring at him, he felt a serious threat. He can actually resist my Dragon Roar Iron Skin technique. Ouyang Xing was secretly shocked. He narrowed his eyes as a strong, killing intent rose in his heart. In the school, he had always been high and mighty. Today, he was actually beaten by an unknown kid. How would he bear it? Fortunately, not many people saw it. Otherwise, it would be a big blow to his prestige. And Jiang Li's reputation would rise, and he would be highly valued by the school. Ouyang Xing, why did you suddenly attack Jiang Li? We are all classmates. Luohan stood out and accused. Ouyang Xing, have you become a psychopath after killing so many people? Although those people are warriors from another planet, you didn't even spare the children and women. Do you still have any conscience? Serene recalled the tragedy in the jungle and felt indignant. What is this? It's just a little exercise. Ouyang Xing didn't care at all. To be admitted to Starry Sky University, there's a lot of killing. If I can't bear it, how can I feel the cruelty of the universe? But the two of you seem to be quite protective of this kid. What nonsense are you talking about? Luohan frowned. Let's cross the river first and get to the military base. As for you wanting to compete with Jiang Li, there will be plenty of opportunities when we get to school. We are all students of the top class, so there will be plenty of opportunities for us to compete. Humph, I'm not going to keep you company. Ouyang Xing once again took a deep look at Jiang Li. Suddenly, he dashed out into the jungle and threw a series of punches, each punch hitting a tree as thick as a man's leg. In 3 punches, he broke 7 or 8 trees in a row and gathered them together. He took out a rope to tie them together and threw them into the river. His whole body jumped up, and with a forceful pull, the raft made of trees crossed to the middle of the river. After a short while, he reached the opposite bank and jumped again, directly disappearing from everyone's sight. He was simply a human-shaped destruction machine. Jiang Li saw him break the tree with just a few punches and 2 kicks. He knew that there was a gap between his and Ouyang Xing's physical strength. He still had to train hard, but he was not discouraged. Ouyang Xing grew up eating supertonics. He didn't know how many good teachers, good training equipment, good nutritionists, psychological teachers had taught him, but his growth time was too short. Ouyang Xing's physical strength is indeed strong. Luohan's face was heavy. Jiang Li, this person is narrow-minded. You have to be careful, because you have the strength to pose a threat to him. That's right. Just based on the fact that you were evenly matched with him just now, the school's teachers and principal will look at you in a different light. Serene grasped the key point. I still have to work hard. This person is really strong. No wonder so many warriors from other planets died in his hands. Jiang Li shook his head. However, I lack resources. If I have enough resources, I believe I can quickly catch up to him and defeat him. Resources are a small matter. The main thing is cultivation of the mind. Luohan said, if you can really enter a meditative state, the school will fully support you if word gets out. You have to know that there's no one in our school who can enter a meditative state. I thought there would be 1 or 2. I didn't expect there to be none. Jiang Li shook his head. When I fought with Ouyang Xing just now, he was also in the 3rd state of deep sleep. Let's go. This trial is nearing its end. We have all learned a lot. Serene smiled. In this battle of life and death, she was saved by Zhongli. She felt a lot closer to him, and the gap between her and Luohan also became smaller. Although the two were still bickering. While talking and laughing, they chopped wood to make a raft and crossed the river, heading to another exit of the military-restricted zone. Along the way, they didn't encounter any danger. On the 10th day, everyone gathered in the large room of the military-restricted zone. Zhongli suddenly noticed that a few people were missing. He suddenly felt that the students were most likely dead. This time, even Serene almost died, let alone the others. Major General Song raised his head and said, "The overall results of your training in the restricted military zone are not bad. However, the unfortunate news is that a few students met with accidents. However, these are all necessary casualties. You have signed a contract to participate in the training. This has nothing to do with the military or the school. This is the first lesson of the exam at Starry Sky University. Don't think that all of you are obedient children at home. Little emperors, the ups and downs outside have nothing to do with you. From today onwards, you are a real soldier. Be ready to sacrifice for humanity. Starry Sky University is not for the weak." Yes, many of the students had matured, and their temperament had undergone earth-shaking changes. Even Zhang Yu, Zhang Wenbing, Yang Wu, and the others had restrained themselves. This time, I declare that the trial is over. You have successfully completed the trial. First place, Ouyang Xing, come to receive your reward. You have killed the most alien warriors. Yes. Ouyang Xing sneered at Zhongli. The meaning of this look was obvious. Just you wait. The first place of this trial was taken by Ouyang Xing. He received 100,000 star dollars worth of military body strengthening medicine. However, for a rich man like him, 100,000 star dollars was nothing. It was just a fight for glory. Zhongli originally wanted to get this prize, but unfortunately, he had to kill a lot of people. There are many ways to make money. Why kill people for money? Now, I declare that this trial is over. The army will send you to the school. Next, the school will arrange the next step of your training. Yes, all the students were in high spirits. Finally, they could leave the primeval forest and return to the city. Not long after, a flying bus drove over, carrying all the students to the school. After arriving at the school, everyone was relieved, eager to go home, take a hot bath, and have a good sleep to relieve the mental and physical fatigue. This time you have done well. The principal spoke in the conference room. You have all passed the harsh trial. Although a few students unfortunately died, this is your own choice. To be admitted to Starry Sky University, you must put your life and death aside. The school will deal with the aftermath, and we have already communicated with your parents in advance. From tomorrow onwards, you don't need to train anymore. Have a good rest and digest the results of this trial. In addition, the school will provide free martial arts master system for students with vitality of 1. Once a week, 30 minutes of training. Martial arts master system. Zhongli was overjoyed when he heard this. He knew that this was the benefit of top students. The school does not hesitate to use resources to cultivate the best students. Of course, the cost of opening the martial arts master system will certainly be shared by other students. The school will not make a loss. One must know that this time, the school recruited 50 more students into the top class, and their families have paid a lot of money for this. Now dismissed. The next training, the school will directly send an email to your student microchip. Pay attention to receive it. After the principal finished speaking, he directly left. Immediately, the students of the top class left in 2s and 3s, each eager to return home. Even Ouyang Xing was too lazy to pester Zhongli. He wanted to go home and enjoy the results of this training. Zhongli returned home. "Brother, you are finally home. How was the trial?" His sister Jiang Xian quickly ran over. "Mom and Dad heard that you're coming back, so they took a leave of absence from work. They are cooking at home to comfort you." "Zhongli, you are home?" His father Jiang Zhendong came out of the house, very happy. "I heard that someone died in the top class training organized by the school." I was shocked. "What, are you okay?" "I'm fine." Zhongli naturally would not say that he narrowly escaped death and was pierced through the chest by a sword, so as not to worry his parents. Those students met with an accident. I am different from them. I am a student with vitality of 1. Not bad. You are a student with vitality of 1. Jiang Jindong chuckled, very pleased. Hurry up and eat. Today we specially bought the meat of the Cyathea beast, specially prepared for you. Where's my brother? Did he call home recently? Zhongli asked. Sister, come eat with us. No. He signed a contract with the army. Not only can he not go home, but he also can't communicate. His mother came out of the kitchen, a little worried. But the army gave us 100,000 star dollars as a settlement allowance. What? 100,000 star dollars as a settlement allowance? Zhongli almost jumped 3 feet high. There was no happiness on his face. Instead, it was very serious. What kind of dangerous training did my brother participate in? Such a high settlement allowance? He had a bad premonition, because the settlement allowance was too high. Okay, about the matter of the settlement allowance, the army has sent a message. It was personally signed by a general surnamed Wang. Jiang Jindong knocked his chopsticks. Jiang Tao left the settlement allowance. This sum of money is to fully cultivate you. This is also your brother's intention. Zhongli, after all, you still have a semester before the college entrance examination. Don't let your brother down. Chapter 44. Although he had a bad feeling, Zhongli had no choice. He could not go to the army to inquire about his brother's situation. He did not have that kind of ability. He could only wait for his brother to come back and ask, Mom, Dad, you don't have to train me with 100,000 star dollars. Focus on training my sister. He thought for a moment. I don't need training now, and I don't lack money. I recently learned hypnosis and helped people treat illnesses and earned a sum of money. As he spoke, he took out 150,000 star dollars and transferred it. Ding dong. Jiang Jindong's account was filled with 150,000 star dollars. This is the reward I got for accidentally saving the Shui family's eldest daughter. Zhongli, this money will be used to subsidize the family. Together with my brother's money, it will be used to train my sister. 150,000. So much money. Jiang Jindong exclaimed. You actually saved the Shui group's eldest daughter? No wonder many people in the Shui group are polite to us, and our work is easy. I saved her from a gangster when I completed a police task. Zhongli did not say anything about Zhang Wenbing. Be careful. Try not to participate in dangerous tasks. Jiang Jindong was worried. Oh, you also learned hypnosis? Then you can take the hypnotist qualification test. Mom looked at the account and exclaimed, Hypnotists nowadays are a lucrative profession. Focus on your studies first. Dad immediately rejected. There is still 1 semester left. You must be admitted to Star Sky University. The Star Sky University student quota is more important than anything else. I will work hard. Zhongli secretly encouraged. After eating, he went out again and arrived at the park. He quietly came to the park. Looking at the 3-meter-high wall, he suddenly jumped. His feet stepped on the wall and jumped over like a leopard cat. He landed without a sound and controlled himself very well. It was like he was flying over the wall. Babies, I'm here to see you. Arriving at a familiar place, a group of stray cats were shuttling around. Hearing Jiang Li's voice, they all gathered around. After not seeing them for 10 days, Jiang Li found that they had grown bigger. During his absence, his sister fed them every day. This was something Jiang Li instructed her to do. Crash! A Dahe cat that looked like a little leopard ran over and jumped into Jiang Li's arms. It was a Dahe cat. Below, a few kittens grabbed his pants and kept pulling at it, showing their intimacy. The other stray cats circled around, as if they were dancing. Come on, let's eat. I bought some good fish slices for you. Jiang Li took out a lot of fish slices from his carry-on bag. The aroma of the fish slices assailed their nostrils. This was the precious fire fish, a product of an alien planet. This type of fish was discovered by humans when they explored a primitive planet. In the boiling hot spring next to a volcano, the water temperature was close to 100 degrees Celsius, and there lived a type of fish that was not afraid of the heat. After being scooped up, this type of fish would freeze to death in a short while, but it tasted fresh and delicious. Moreover, the meat contained a masculine energy that was beneficial to the body. Zhongli bought some for the cats. He wanted to make these cats fat and strong. Even rich people would not feed such precious things to pets, and Zhongli did not treat these stray cats as pets at all. He treated them as friends and family. If it were not for the stray cats, he would not have gotten the Dream Heart Sutra. How could he have achieved what he had today? Every cat ate happily, especially the Dahe cat. After eating, it stretched its body as if it was dancing or learning how to fight. Zhongli found it funny. Dahe, it's a pity that you are a cat. Your understanding and wisdom are far less than that of humans. Otherwise, I could teach you how to fight. A cat that knows martial arts, a kung fu cat? Meow meow. Dahe shook its head as if it understood what Zhongli was saying. Zhongli gave Dahe the Green God nutrient drink. Dahe's life potential would gradually be replenished because cats needed less nutrition than humans. Forget it. You guys should go to sleep. Zhongli's hand suddenly moved, and a series of afterimages were imprinted in the eyes of these cats. The cats all lay on the ground and fell into a deep sleep. They entered deep sleep again. After eating the fire fish, they needed to digest it. Deep sleep was the best choice, and it was better than exercise. As if taking care of babies, he put these cats into the cat's nest one by one. Only then did Zhongli stop. The life force of these cats was growing bit by bit. He was also very happy, as if he was raising children. His hypnosis technique was getting better and better. There was no other reason. Because of the improvement of his mental state, he had entered the third stage of deep sleep. In the whole school, only he and Ouyang Xing had entered this stage, creating a situation of two heroes competing for supremacy. With the improvement of his mental state, his hypnosis technique naturally improved by leaps and bounds. Now, he felt that he could get the beginner hypnotist qualification certificate without the Great Soul Emperor's seal. After settling the cats down, he practiced martial arts in the quiet and deserted park. This time, he began to simply practice the military stab punch to test his physical fitness. Bam, 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 bam. He punched continuously, and his body was like a dragon, grabbing the big dragon claw. The boneless dragon snake dance posture was integrated into his movement technique, making him more agile and ingenious. His strength was strong and fierce, and he killed the enemy with one punch. This time, his martial arts cultivation had increased a lot, mainly because of the battle with the alien warriors. The moment when his chest was pierced by a long sword, it baptized his mind and allowed him to feel some absolute secrets between life and death. 1 explosion, 2 explosions, 8 explosions, 16 explosions, 36 explosions, 40 explosions. When he hit 40 explosions, he was a little out of breath, and his physical strength could not keep up. Deep sleep. Immediately, all kinds of hand seals flashed in his mind. His whole head was filled with blood, and he entered the dream of divine power state. His body's fatigue had nothing to do with him, and he ignored his limits and continued to attack. Every punch carried the unparalleled divine power that could uproot mountains and rivers, and it was much stronger than before. According to Zhongli's test, the average punch force of 100 punches was 1 ton. If he tested 1 punch alone, then it could reach 5 tons. And now, he had entered the third stage of deep sleep. Under the hazy state, the adrenal hormones and various endocrine systems began to stir, and the power of his punches skyrocketed. It was not strange to occasionally reach a higher level. 49 explosions, 50 explosions, 60 explosions. When he hit 60 explosions, his mind suddenly returned to normal. His whole body was sweating profusely, and his body was in extreme pain. The dream state was lifted, and his body could no longer bear it. So tired, I can actually hit 60 explosions. Zhongli quickly stopped and took a short walk to rest. Half an hour later, he was full of energy again, and he sat down cross-legged to think. In this physical fitness test, he had also tested that if one exercised to the limit in the deep sleep state, the human body would not be able to bear it and would suddenly wake up and then be abnormally tired and the body would be damaged. Looks like my body is not strong enough. I need to inject more super protein. Opening the optical computer, a lot of information about super protein appeared on it, as well as information about hypnosis cultivation. He began to study seriously. In fact, to quickly increase his strength, all he had to do was put the milky white stone in his mouth and breathe. But Zhongli would never do that. This kind of overdraft of life potential was definitely killing the goose that laid the golden eggs. He decided to cultivate on his own, hoping to enter meditative meditation as soon as possible. Once he entered meditative meditation, a new world would open up in front of him. In fact, the meditation of the universe brain was a treasure trove. During meditation, his thoughts were much more active than those of the same level. Not long after, he meditated on the soul emperor's seal, and his brain flashed rapidly. His brain cells were full of energy, and his meditation deepened. This was the result of military training. When he reached the limit of meditation, he felt that his brain seemed to be connected with the unknown brain galaxy in the universe. His thoughts spread out, and his spirit began to radiate. This cultivation state was completely different from the previous ones. His spirit became very delicate, and it extended outwards. The first thing he came into contact with were the sleeping cats in the cat's nest. He could clearly feel the status of the cats, and their vital signs were stable. Other than that, his spirit suddenly moved, and he felt that it was very different from usual, because he could actually faintly feel the brain activity of the cats. What is that? His spirit was focused on the brain of Dahe the cat. Suddenly, it was hazy, as if he was dreaming. The Dahe the cat had actually turned into a human, a young man whose whole body was dark, and he was fiercely practicing boxing. The boxing technique he was practicing was Jiang Li's boneless dragon snake dance, military body explosive fist. Dahe, is that you? In the dream, Jiang Li suddenly asked. Jiang Li. A child's voice sounded. The dark young man stopped and looked at Jiang Li. Sure enough, Jiang Li was shocked. I can actually communicate with Dahe the cat in my dream. Can I teach it all kinds of things and open its wisdom? This was spiritual communication. It was rumored that in ancient times, senior monks who had reached the limit of spiritual cultivation had the ability to communicate with animals. For example, Buddha subdued tigers. Immortals enlightened foxes and apes and let them guard their cave. These were ancient legends, but they might not be false. The ancient human body was not as strong as the modern human body, but in ancient times, there were fewer materials and the society was simple. It was not as strange and dazzling as it is now. People's spiritual cultivation was less polluted, and some sages could cultivate to a very high spiritual realm. Dahe, it turns out that you also have wisdom. You are learning boxing from me, but you have a cat's body, and it is not suitable to practice human boxing. I will teach you meditation. In the dream, Jiangli taught Dahe the cat crystal meditation. He wanted to see what would happen if a Dahe the cat learned how to cultivate. Crystal meditation was the most suitable primary meditation for cultivation. This was the foundation of basic subjects selected by humans from countless meditation methods. More than 200 years ago, there were many countries on Earth, and there were many kinds of meditation methods, such as Buddhism's white bone meditation, Taoism's heavenly jade palace, fire dragon pavilion. Some of these meditation methods were very dangerous, and it was easy to cause mental disorder. Later, countless human spiritual masters researched and finally developed crystal meditation. It was the safest and most effective meditation method that could remove mental impurities. No matter what the physical structure was, the mind was the same. Therefore, cats could also cultivate crystal meditation. In this way, Zhongli taught Dahe the crystallization of human wisdom in the dream. After the teaching, he suddenly lifted his mental state, panting, and came back to his senses. Dahe the cat was still sleeping, but after a while, it woke up and looked at Jiang Li with obvious doubts in its eyes. Jiang Li waved his hand, making the gesture of crystal meditation, and breathed. Dahe the cat immediately learned. Because it had learned it in the dream, there was no communication barrier. After a while, It sat in the cat's nest, looking serene. Obviously, it had entered the state of crystal meditation. You've entered the state so quickly? Zhongli was shocked, and then understood. Cats' minds were purer than humans, and they cultivated very quickly. It was just that it was difficult to get through the threshold, and it needed someone to enlighten them. Unfortunately, there were too few spiritual masters who could enlighten animals. Zhongli could actually enlighten them? This could be considered a miracle, or it could be said that meditation was a magical ability of the universe's brain. However, he was still not as good as those spiritual masters. They enlightened with a thought and immediately activated animal intelligence. But he had to first hypnotize the animal, then hypnotize himself, and finally, the human and the animal had a spiritual connection and taught in the dream. No wonder this lost art is called Dream Heart Sutra. Zhongli began to explore. He trained and experimented hard in the park. After he entered the embryonic state to recover his energy, he once again hypnotized a little kitten. In the haze, his spiritual senses radiated again, reaching the little kitten's dream. The little kitten was very happy to pounce on butterflies in its dream. Tu Meng turned into a human. Zhongli appeared in its dream and sent out a thought. Chapter 45. What? The little kitten immediately pounced on him and circled around him. Zhongli tried his best to guide it mentally. In your dreams, you could become a human. In your dreams, you could do whatever you want. Sure enough, after a while, the kitten turned into a little boy in the dream under his guidance. Come, learn from me. This is a piece of crystal. A dirty crystal appeared behind Zhongli. As he breathed, the impurities in the crystal were constantly expelled, and it became sparkling and translucent. This was a dream. Whatever he wanted appeared, so it was very convenient to teach. The kitten, Tu Meng, also practiced with him. Whoosh! While practicing, everything in front of Zhongli disappeared, and he woke up. His whole body felt weak. His brain hurt. It was obviously because of the training in the dream. His thinking was too intense, and his brain cells were exhausted. Even his body was abnormally tired. Fortunately, he didn't have a nosebleed. Ever since he entered the third stage of deep sleep, it was not so difficult for him to meditate on the brain of the universe. He quickly took the green god nutrient fluid and rested for a while. His mind seemed to be active, and he felt that his mental state was better than usual. It seemed that this was the best extreme training. In this chilly night, he kept practicing in the park and passing on the skills to these cats so that they could learn crystal meditation one by one. Maybe it would create a miracle in the future. If the cats learned to practice, they would definitely become stronger and stronger. Training in the dream was a supernatural power of the mind. It was very helpful for him to understand the mutual communication between the mind and the mind. That night, he passed on the crystal meditation to the 7 cats, Blackie, Flower Mask King, Big Cute, and 5 Cute. The sky was bright. It was already winter break, and it was chilly. In the morning, snowflakes actually began to fall, and the whole world was a vast expanse of white. Zhongli woke up from deep sleep again and stood in the park pavilion to look outside. He felt refreshed from the snow. Although the weather was cold, it did not cause any harm to his body. With his current cultivation, his vitality had reached 1. In the era of the country 200 years ago, he was definitely close to a martial arts master. On such a cold day, the cats were naturally sleeping in their warm nests. The cats who had been taught crystal meditation were training nonstop. Zhongli put fish fillets in their nests, as well as some diluted nutrient solution. Their cultivation progress was very fast, and Zhongli wanted to see how much these cats would grow after a semester. With a leap, he landed on the snowy ground and began to practice his fist technique. Boneless jujitsu. She swayed her body casually. She was soft and boneless, twisting and turning like a dragon or snake. All kinds of movements were executed with ease. Bone-twisting whirlwind kill. Bone-shedding bow stab. Bone-crushing chaos cloud collapse. Broken bones and boulders. Boneless dragon snake dance. He repeated these 5 moves over and over again, but he didn't feel tired at all. His muscles, tendons, and bones all became extremely tough. His breathing was also powerful. Every breath he exhaled created a white wave in the cold air. Gradually, he entered a mysterious state of mind. It was as if his soul was connected with the falling snowflakes. Every snowflake that fell created a tinkling sound that washed away the distracting thoughts in his heart. His understanding of life and death fighting with the alien warriors was gradually released, and his martial arts and mind were improved to a higher level. Good, your kung fu is not bad. A voice came. Jiang Li quickly moved, and all the bow and dance returned to normal. He knew that a master had come. With his current realm, he could clearly see the wind and grass within a few hundred meters. Even the flapping wings of a mosquito could not escape his eyes and ears. Now, that a person was within 10 steps of him, it was definitely not a coincidence. Even if he had reached the realm of selflessness, it was impossible for him to be so slow. A man appeared in his sight. The middle-aged man was not burly. He wore casual clothes and looked ordinary, but Jiang Li felt that he was powerful. You are a high school student. Your name is Jiang Li, right? The middle-aged man stretched out his hand. My name is Wang Daorong. Jiang Li did not shake hands with him. He naturally would not be easily controlled by such a person. He would be controlled by the other party while shaking hands. Instead, he took a step back. How do you know my name? Who are you? I am Zheng Wenbing's teacher. Wang Daorong smiled and nodded. Jiang Li was very vigilant. The fact that he did not shake hands with Wang Daorong showed that he was quick-witted. Zheng Wenbing. Jiang Li immediately felt hatred in his heart. Are you here to deal with me? No. Wang Daorong shook his head. Zheng Wenbing has nothing to do with you at all. A little brat like him can't control me. I'm just an ancient martial arts teacher hired by his father. I came to you today for another matter. Oh, I see. Jiang Li heaved a sigh of relief. Based on his spirit, he could feel that the middle-aged man, Wang Daorong, was simply unfathomable. How could Zheng Wenbing order around such a person? However, he did not let his guard down. I heard that you caught the Phantom Fox? Wang Daorong looked at Jiang Li from head to toe. You are quite strong, but it is still impossible for you to catch the Phantom Fox. I wasn't the one who caught Phantom Fox. He was surrounded by the police, and I only discovered him. Jiang Li told the truth. If the police hadn't arrived in time, he would have been dead. Do you know that you are in danger? Wang Daorong's words made Jiang Li nervous again. Phantom Fox is an important member of the Resistance. You've caused him to be captured. The Resistance will not let you go, nor will they let your family go. With your current strength, you will be wiped out in less than a day if you face the Resistance's revenge. The Resistance is so arrogant? Jiang Li thought quickly. He really did not think of this. If they want to take revenge, they should go to the police. What good will it do to me? The Resistance was a terrorist organization, and it was said to be unforgivable. Taking revenge on you is a warning to others. They won't allow others to work for the police. Wang Daorong looked at Jiang Li's expression and knew that he was starting to worry. You are not so naive to think that you can fight against the Resistance with your little strength, right? Mr. Wang, are you here to help me? Jiang Li licked his lips. He was not an ordinary student, and his thinking was that of an adult. You are very talented. Wang Daorong stood straight with his head held high. I can accept you as my disciple and teach you ancient fist techniques. I can also guarantee that the Resistance won't harm a single hair on your body. Your family will also be well protected. That's a good thing? Is this a gift from the sky? Jiang Li was stunned. Suddenly, a thought popped up in his mind. You are also a member of the Resistance. He regretted it as soon as he said it, because after he spoke, Wang Daorong's eyes suddenly burst out, and a murderous aura enveloped him. He actually felt his hands and feet go numb. He thought that his spiritual cultivation was powerful, but it seemed inferior in front of Wang Daorong. The man's spiritual cultivation could enter a meditative state. But then, Wang Daorong restrained his aura. He asked coldly, "Why do you think so?" It's simple. Jiang Li calmed himself down. First of all, only the government can protect me. You are obviously not a member of the government. No matter how rich you are, you can't fight against the Resistance. Second, you said that you can give me resources that even rich people can't get their hands on. That's why I'm guessing that you're also a member of the Resistance, and that you are an organization that wants to restore ancient Huaxia. You are fundamentally different from the Phantom Fox. There were many kinds of resistance organizations because there were many countries in the 21st century 200 years ago. The Phantom Fox had white blood, and they were enemies of the resistance. There were cruel fights in the underground world between the two organizations. You are very quick-witted. You can find so many flaws in an instant. Aren't you afraid that I will kill you? Wang Daorong was also shocked. Mr. Wang, I don't remember what I said just now. Zhongli quickly said, I'm just a nobody. Please don't drag me into this dangerous vortex, okay? There was no way Jiang Li would join the resistance. The unification of mankind was the trend of the world, and it was against the trend of history. Moreover, the government had labeled the members of the resistance as terrorists, and they would never let them go. No matter what, he wouldn't join them, no matter how tempting it was. What if he dragged his family into this? Do you think that restoring our country is reversing history? Wang Daorong's tone was solemn. But you have pure Chinese blood in you, so you should know how great it is to restore the glory of ancient Huaxia. Humans have already banded together to deal with the various civilizations in the universe. The universe is dangerous, and powerful civilizations can descend at any time. If humans don't band together and kill each other, that would be foolish. At this time, Zhongli could only argue. Do you really think that the officials are doing this for the sake of mankind? Wang Daorong laughed. Let me ask you, why did they build the elite zone? This, Zhongli said, the elite zone is the product of the gap between the rich and the poor. The government is working hard to conquer the universe, provide more resources for mankind, and then expand the elite zone step by step until all the ordinary zones become elite zones. Humph! Wang Daorong spat out, brainwashing. I already have the ability to judge, Zhongli said in a low voice. Your ability to judge? You're just a kid after all. Wang Daorong stood up straight, and his aura changed, like an ancient scholar who was worried about the country and the people. Let me ask you, mankind's continuous conquest, plundering, and obtaining large amounts of resources, where do they benefit first? The elite zone, Zhongli replied. After obtaining resources, the elite zone will become stronger and stronger, and eventually leave the ordinary zone far behind. This is an irrefutable fact. 100 years ago, the life expectancy of the elite zone was 120 years, and the life expectancy of the ordinary zone was 100 years. The difference wasn't that big, but how long is it now? Do you know? Wang Daorong's voice was as cold as steel. 180 years old. Zhongli, this is the official report. It's estimated to be different from the reality. The average life expectancy of the elite zone should be 200 years old. Yes, you're right. Wang Daorong nodded. The gap is getting bigger and bigger. It's already twice that of the ordinary zone. The gap will widen in the future. This is inevitable. Now the government has tried out a series of policies to increase the welfare of the people in the ordinary zone. Starry Sky University was set up to give the people in the ordinary zone the opportunity to immigrate. Zhongli said, the welfare of mankind will get better and better. This is the general trend. The average vitality of the students of my parents' generation was only 0.6, but the average vitality of the students now is close to 0.8. Small favors. Wang Daorong sneered. Do you know the immortal realm? Immortal realm? Zhongli was taken aback when he heard this word, not knowing why Wang Daorong would say such inexplicable words. The elite zone will become stronger and stronger. The lifespan of the people there will increase, and they will even become immortal. They are powerful, like the immortals of ancient times. Wang Daorong's tone was not loud, but every word hit the nail on the head. The elite zone is the embryonic form of the immortal realm. In the near future, technology will become more and more advanced, and the first to benefit will be the group of people in the elite zone. They will become real immortals, and at that time, the elite zone will be completely separated from the ordinary zone, and they will become gods and immortals. In ancient China, there was a legend, Zhuanshu broke the heaven ladder. You should have heard of it. In ancient times, there was a heaven ladder that people could climb to the sky. The Emperor of Heaven ordered Zhuanxu to break the heaven ladder, separating heaven and man forever. Isn't that similar to now? Jiang Li was a sensible person. He knew that what Wang Daorong said was true. Breaking the heaven ladder, in fact, blocked people's path to progress. The development of technology will not bring equality to all mankind, but some rulers will become gods, and the majority of mankind will become lambs. Think about it. If the ruler developed the drug of immortality, will he lock it up for his own use, or give it to the majority of mankind? Wang Daorong's tone was like iron. The current situation of mankind must be changed. Chapter 46. What do you think? You're a good seedling. After becoming my disciple, you'll definitely be able to get into the Star University. Wang Daorong continued to tempt him. With your current ability, you only have a 50% chance of getting into the Star University. With my help, you'll definitely be able to get in. I'm sorry. Jiang Li was silent for a while. I really don't want to get involved in this. My dream is to live happily with my family. Life isn't hard right now, and as long as I work hard, my family will be able to live a better life. However, if I join you, I'll have to live in fear every day and night. It's extremely dangerous, and I'll drag my family down at any time. I'll never get involved in this huge whirlpool. He still refused in order not to drag his family into it. Jiang Li didn't care who was right or wrong between the resistance and the human government. He only knew that if he got involved in this whirlpool, he would definitely end up in a miserable state. Who was right or wrong between the resistance and the human government? He was a nobody and couldn't judge. He had no right to judge. Although the other party had a lot of resources, they wouldn't give them to him so easily. Jiang Li always believed that he could only rely on his own power, and relying on others wouldn't be stable. Therefore, he didn't rely on the relationship between Manager Lei and Serene to take revenge on Zheng Wenbing. Although they were friends, they might not be willing to help him take revenge. You already know my secret. Can you really stay out of this? Wang Daorong said in a frighteningly indifferent tone when he saw Jiang Li's determination. I've said it again. I'm just a nobody. I don't have the right to get involved in this. I don't want to drag my family into this. Jiang Li knew that Wang Daorong was threatening him. If you want to deal with me, then come at me. Although I'm weak, I'll fight to the death. Aren't you afraid that the Resistance and Phantom Fox will take revenge on your family? Wang Daorong looked at Jiang Li as if he was looking at Nat. You know how powerful they are. Any tycoon who goes against them will be turned into ashes overnight. But they also have to pay the price. They'll be killed by the human government. Jiang Li's heart was pounding. He knew that if he said anything wrong, he would be killed. I'm just a nobody. It's useless even if you force me to join you. There was no need to pay such a huge price. I'm also a one-star citizen now. If they kill me, the government will definitely investigate. They won't be able to get anything out of it. Moreover, I received the Wind Cloud Medal and was personally received by the mayor. I'm a seed that the school will focus on grooming. I'm not an ordinary person. You're quite clever. Wang Daorong's expression was cold, as if he was thinking about something. You think too highly of the resistance. The truth will prove that you're wrong. It's fine if you don't want to join us. We don't lack talents like you. Besides, you'll find that some of your classmates and experts are also our members. Young man, there are some things you don't understand, but as you grow older, you will understand. As he spoke, he turned around and left. He left just like that. Aren't you afraid that I'll report what happened today to the government? Jiang Li. Wang Daorong only smiled faintly, too lazy to reply, and disappeared into the depths of the forest in the park. Jiang Li would never report this to the government, because it would be useless. Instead, it would cause him to be killed, and Wang Daorong was not afraid of him snitching at all. How could a small tree shake a big tree? As he left, he suddenly chanted loudly, "For the sake of sacrifice, I dare to call the sun and moon to change the sky. I love to see thousands of waves on the paddy fields, and the land is filled with heroes." Hero, young man, don't you understand what a hero is? This voice was full of passion and heroism. He knew that it was impossible, but he still did it. The road was long, and he had no regrets even if he died 9 times. Jiang Li seemed to be deep in thought. He only heaved a sigh of relief when Wang Daorong disappeared. He was very afraid. He was not afraid of himself, but afraid that his family would be implicated. He wanted to live a peaceful life and would never be involved in a fight. This was especially so for a terrorist organization like this. He had to stay away from them. Why did Wang Daorong let me go? He shouldn't have left so easily, right? Zhongli was also a little confused. Maybe he felt that he didn't have the value to make such a big fuss about it. A belief rose in his heart. I have to become stronger. No matter how strong I am, with the Dream Heart Sutra, I will have the chance to stand at the peak of humanity. Why should I beg others? After this small incident, Zhongli worked even harder. Every night, he would cultivate, sleep, and cultivate again. He used the rest of his money to buy medicine to replenish his body. He cultivated like crazy. At the same time, he was also researching the Dream Heart Sutra. He meditated on the brain of the universe and the magical ability to enter other people's dreams. He found that when his thoughts flashed to the limit, his mind radiated and his attention was focused on the person he hypnotized. The two of them could communicate in their dreams. The communication in the dream was purely a spiritual communication of consciousness and thoughts. Therefore, even if there was no barrier between him and the cat, he could let the cat know his thoughts and all of the cat's consciousness. This ability was very magical, communicating with animals, teaching them to cultivate, and even teaching them human knowledge would make them like humans. He first taught Dahe how to store food and opened up his intelligence. Because Dahe was the strongest and the smartest, he was the first to come into contact with the Dream Heart Sutra. He believed that with his enlightenment, Dahe would one day become as smart as humans. Of course, there was also the Flower Mask King and the 5 kittens, Big Cute, 2 Cute, 3 Cute, for Cute, and 5 Cute, who cultivated the crystal meditation. There were too many other stray cats, and Zhongli could not teach them one by one. But with these 7 cats as leaders, the other stray cats would not be bullied, especially now that Dahe had become the cat king of this group of stray cats. Zhongli gave it nutrient drinks every day and taught it how to cultivate. Its body was strong. Even an adult with a vitality of 0, it might not be its opponent. One day, Zhongli saw with his own eyes that Dahe alone beat away a few stray dogs so that the cats would not be hurt. It seemed that Dahe was gradually recovering from the injury of its fetus and would not die early. Dahe, you have to protect them and cultivate well. Do you understand? In another dream, Zhongli communicated with it again and explained some knowledge about cultivation to it. He was like a primary school teacher, explaining one lesson after another so that Dahe could understand it completely. Dahe kept absorbing knowledge and learning human cultivation. It became more and more intelligent, and its body became stronger and stronger. Zhang Li's own cultivation also kept up. Every day, he trained hard. The great Emperor Seal of the Mind was unpredictable, and its hypnotic ability was getting stronger. Moreover, this seal could communicate with martial arts, so his various martial arts and attack methods had also improved greatly. In the school's virtual fighting room, Zhongli once again faced the martial arts master system. The top 10 strongest people in the school would receive special training. Every week, the martial arts master system could be open to them for free for 30 minutes. The benefits of battling with a martial arts master system for 30 minutes were self-evident. The braided old man stood in front of Zhongli again. Although his cultivation level had increased by a lot, Zhongli could still feel the astonishing pressure and aura of this virtual martial arts master. It was as lofty as a mountain, and it was impossible to be defeated. Attack! Swoosh! Zhongli's hand blade drew an arc in the air, slicing towards the martial arts master. He wasn't using the military body-piercing explosion fist, nor was he using the higher-level boneless jiu-jitsu or dragon claw grappling grab. Instead, he was using the great Emperor Seal of the heart and soul. This seal was mysterious and extremely powerful. When the hand speed wasn't fast, it was like performing acrobatics. But when the hand speed reached a certain level, the whole body would start moving. The lethality and hypnotic ability were incredible. Tai Chi, grasping the sparrow's tail. The martial arts master, the braided old man's hand was like a floating cloud. He retreated and moved up and down, dispelling the force of the hand blade. He then attacked with a punch. Bending bow, shooting tiger. His fist was like an arrow, and his body was like a huge bow. His speed was extremely fast, and in an instant it was already at the chest. Jiang Li calmed himself down and meditated. His thoughts flickered and moved his body. Suddenly, he let out a loud roar, and a thunderous sound came out from his nose. He raised his hand high and slashed down heavily. Another hand gesture from the great Emperor's seal was like a bolt of lightning. It slashed down violently with great force. His entire body was like a god of thunder. When his speed was fast, the force would be huge, shattering the ground and the air. Bada! This slash accurately captured the trajectory of the martial arts master. The two fists collided. The martial arts master raised his fist. His arm was like a spear, lifting the pulley. Jiang Li felt like his entire body was being lifted off the ground. However, his body immediately swayed and his arms were trembling. His hands were like heavenly flowers, dispelling all the force. Compared to the previous exam, his combat experience and strength had increased to another level. Demon God appears. B-grade martial art, Demon God fist. Suddenly, the martial arts master punched out again and executed a B-grade martial art. However, Jiang Li was still able to deal with it. His body kept on jumping, and his footsteps were like flowers, blooming lotuses with each step. He raised his hands and actually emitted the aura of golden lotuses. This was another technique from the great Emperor's seal. After 10 minutes, Jiang Li was finally sent flying by the martial arts master system. In these 30 minutes, he was sent flying a total of 3 times. He felt that his martial arts experience had increased by quite a bit. It was a pity that he only had 30 minutes of training time per week. If he could train for a few hours every day, he would definitely be able to cultivate the great Emperor's seal to a higher realm. Ding dong! He finished his training and bought a tube of nutrient fluid. Suddenly, the voice of the AI chip sounded. Your account balance is less than 1,000 star dollars. Unable to purchase. Jiang Li was startled. He didn't expect that he would be out of money so soon. Ever since he met Wang Darong, he had been crazily cultivating these days and spent all his savings to buy various nutrient fluids. He also had to cultivate those cats and his sister. Unknowingly, the money he got from the hypnosis in Huasu City had been spent, and Zheng Wenbing's compensation was also gone. There was no other way. It was too expensive to cultivate an expert. For someone like Ouyang Xing, he would have to spend millions of star dollars from a young age. Moreover, he had to be very talented. Jiang Li had spent hundreds of thousands of star dollars from start to finish. It was already quite good for him to be able to cultivate to this point. It seems that I have to go to Huasu City's black market again. My spiritual cultivation has improved by a level, and my hypnosis is getting better and better. It is not inferior to beginner hypnotists. It is getting easier and easier to earn money. It would be great if I could find those underworld leaders. Chapter 47. Asterisk crackle. Asterisk both of his hands were typing on the virtual keyboard, and his fingers were flying as he searched for a lot of information about Suhua City. In modern society, all information could be found on the internet. He had a plan before taking action, so he first looked on the internet to see which underground forces in Suhua City were rich, powerful, or full of evil. Sure enough, after a little search, a series of posts condemning the evil forces of Suhua City appeared on the internet. Countless netizens criticized them, some complained, and some even had a history of blood and tears. Some went to Suhua City and were robbed, beaten, and even imprisoned, and their organs were cut off to be sold. Some girls went to Suhua City and were raped and were forced to prostitute. The actions of the underground forces in Suhua City were simply too numerous to list. Jiang Li didn't dare to provoke some of the big underground forces because he was no match for them. Of course, the big underground forces, such as the security group, had gone on the path of regularization. The evil forces only existed in some small and medium-sized gangs, and they were still bloody and primitive accumulation. All right, I will target this gang. Slaughtering Blood Alliance. Jiang Li searched on the internet and found that the most hated gang was called Slaughtering Blood Alliance. This gang was neither big nor small, but its members were all fierce and cruel, and they even did murder. Moreover, the Slaughtering Blood Alliance dealt in human organs, prostitution, and specialized in robbing foreigners. Other gangs would only rob foreigners for money and not kill them, but this gang directly killed foreigners, sold their corpses as specimens, and sold their organs to black market hospitals. Some even directly sent people to underground hospitals to do human experiments. When Jiang Li saw the news on the internet, his sense of justice sprouted, and he couldn't wait to destroy the Slaughtering Blood Alliance single-handedly. This kind of evil organization shouldn't exist in the world, and it was a disgrace to human civilization. Originally, there shouldn't be any outsiders in a city as chaotic as Suhua City. However, because this was a black market, many large companies would send their employees to Suhua City to buy things. Moreover, there were also many outsiders who came here to secretly buy forbidden drugs and smuggle them to other cities to sell. In addition, gambling, pornography, and all kinds of entertainment prohibited by the government could also be carried out here, which stimulated many rich people to come and go, creating a deformed prosperity. This was a deformed city. The black market created a false prosperity. Many outsiders were killed every year, but there were still more outsiders coming in. It was very difficult for the government to ban this place. Firstly, there was nuclear radiation in this place. Secondly, there were large interest groups within the government and army. Once this place was banned, who knew how many forces would be implicated? Over time, it would become a cancer in the city. They could only seal off this area. Anyone who left the city was subject to strict inspection, and everything that happened in the city was not under their jurisdiction. All right, this is the Hateful Blood Alliance. Jiang Li browsed through the information on the internet and looked at the crimes committed by the gang. The hot blood of enforcing justice on behalf of the heavens surged into his heart. However, the Hateful Blood Union had weapons and all sorts of firearms. There were even ancient firearms with physical bullets. The modern police had outlawed the ancient bullet firearms and switched to the Aurora pulse paralysis gun in order to reduce the number of casualties. That was because the ancient bullet firearms were too lethal. One shot could blow off a person's skull. However, in the black market of Suhua City, many gangs used this gun. Therefore, Jiang Li had to be extremely careful. However, he had experienced the baptism of life and death battles with alien warriors. He knew that cultivation and spiritual comprehension had to wander between life and death. All kinds of martial arts also had to be practiced in actual combat. He went to Suhua City to eliminate the gangs. The first reason was to get rid of the tyrants. The second reason was to increase his combat experience. The third reason was to quickly make money. Night. He took the fast maglev train. An hour later, he arrived at the Suhua City. It was still very chaotic. The station was full of garbage. Some corners were smelly, and there were beggars. Most of these beggars had their hands and feet broken. They were in a miserable state. They wanted to win people's sympathy and hope to get charity. However, Jiang Li ignored them and directly disappeared into the vast sea of people. This was because the beggars were all controlled by the gangs. There were too many injustices in the world. He could only deal with them one by one. He couldn't help everyone he saw. First, he had to eradicate the evil, hateful Blood Alliance. Jiang Li was dressed in black and wore a human skin mask. He shuttled through the streets and alleys. This time, he met some hooligans. He directly attacked and knocked them out. He was too lazy to deal with them. These hooligans didn't have much money. Some of them even starved. They didn't even have $1 dollar in their savings. The headquarters of the Hateful Blood Alliance is in front. Following the online map and posts, Jiang Li quickly found the headquarters of the Hateful Blood Alliance in Suhua City. This time, he didn't kill his way in and out of the Hateful Blood Alliance. He wanted to capture the leader of the Hateful Blood Alliance and hypnotize him so that he would transfer the money. The leader of the Hateful Blood Alliance probably had a few million in his account. The headquarters of the Hateful Blood Alliance was a large building. It wasn't as grand as the security building. It was much smaller. However, the surrounding members were entering and exiting. It seemed very busy. Zhongli guarded the outside corner. Soon, 3 gang members passed by. They were in a hurry, as if they were going out to do something. They were all burly men. Their waists were bulging. They had guns. Moreover, they had physical bullets. They looked fierce and vicious. They were obviously not going to do anything good. Ghosty, Guang, the 2 of you pay attention. The 3 of us are going out alone to kill a person who came out of the security building. The gang got news that he bought hundreds of thousands worth of medicine. If we succeed, we will be able to get a lot of money. Big Brother Biao, if we succeed this time, you can buy a flying car with your funds. The man called a Gue laughed. Only 1-star citizens can buy cars outside. But in Suhua City, we can do whatever we want. Ha ha ha. It will be more convenient for us to rob and kill. Now we have to rely on our legs to run. With a flying car, we can fly away in an instant. The burly man, Brother Biao, laughed out loud. The 3 of them passed by and walked into the distance. Zhongli followed them secretly. When they were out of the territory of the Hateful Blood Alliance, he hid in a corner. When the 3 of them passed by, he suddenly appeared. Hello, the 3 of you. Who is it? The 3 of them were instantly alerted. They looked over. Their hands reached towards their waist. No, no, no. Zhongli waved his hands. I'm here to give you money. Give money. The 3 of them were puzzled, but still took out their guns. But when they saw Jiang Li's hand gesture, their eyes were filled with confusion. Put on. Ghosty and Guang were the first to fall. Brother Biao struggled for a while, before slowly swaying and finally falling to the ground. That was close. It seems like hypnosis isn't that easy. Jiang Li shook his head. He had to use hand gestures to hypnotize them. He didn't have the ability to hypnotize them by looking into their eyes. If the hypnosis had been a little slower, the other party would have opened fire. That would have been very dangerous. A powerful hypnotist could hypnotize people with hand gestures, eyes, and voice. If it was an intermediate hypnotist, he could hide in the darkness and sing a song. The 3 of them would have been hypnotized before they even saw him. Jiang Li's cultivation in hypnosis was still very shallow. His hypnosis technique relied on the hand gestures of the great Emperor Seal of the mind. Apart from the hand gestures, although he had some achievements in other hypnosis techniques, he had yet to reach the pinnacle of perfection. Although his spirit cultivation had reached the 3rd stage of deep sleep, hypnosis techniques still required hard work and experimentation. This hypnosis was also a very valuable experience. Get up. Since he had hypnotized them, the next step was easy. Zhongli focused and started to lure them. The 3 men got up like zombies. Throw the guns over. Yes. The 3 of them threw the guns to Zhongli's side. Zhongli was also familiar with firearms. He had started military training in school since elementary school. Military training required firearms training. How much money do you have on your card? Transfer it all to me. Zhongli ordered directly. Back then, he had to guide them patiently. Now that his hypnosis technique had improved a lot, he didn't need to use so many tricks. The 3 of us have a total of 380,000 star dollars. We're preparing to buy a car. Brother Biao was struggling in pain. I'm the one selling the car. Give me the money, and I will sell the car to you. Zhongli continued in a gentle and soothing manner. He accurately grasped the various life fluctuations. Look, in front of you is a flying car worth 500,000 star dollars. I will sell it to you for 380,000 star dollars. You have earned a lot. Hurry up and transfer the money. Okay. Brother Biao hurriedly said. He took out his chip and started to transfer the money. Ding dong, 380,000 star dollars have been transferred. Zhongli was delighted, but he didn't relax. Instead, he focused all his attention and stared at Brother Biao. Where's your boss, Xueqiu? The boss of the Blood Slaughter Union was called Xueqiu. He was extremely cruel and powerful. It was rumored that his vitality had long reached 1. He was proficient in firearms and had quick reflexes. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to create a gang in Huasu City. Luckily, Xueqiu wasn't a hypnotist. He couldn't learn hypnosis. Zhongli felt that such a person was very challenging. After military training, his body and mind had changed. He looked forward to a battle of wits and courage with experts. The key was that his 3 underlings had already accumulated 380,000 star dollars. As the boss, how much could he have accumulated after so many years? He definitely had 10 times or even 20 times more. With a few million star dollars in one go, Zhongli would immediately become a nouveau riche. He couldn't resist such a temptation. Moreover, after eradicating the blood slaughter union, he would avenge countless victims. Our boss is in the headquarters. Brother Biao still unconsciously said everything he knew. He has many brothers around him. It's hard to get close to him. Is that so? Zhongli frowned. As expected, it was just as he had guessed. The boss of the blood slaughter union wasn't easy to deal with. He usually had many people around him. If Zhongli wanted to rush up and hypnotize all of them, it would be a fool's dream. He wasn't a legendary super hypnotist or a spiritual master. If he tried to force it, the only outcome would be to be beaten into a hornet's nest and minced meat. Does Xueqiu usually go out alone? Does he go out alone? Zhongli asked. Let me think. Brother Biao thought hard. That's right. Our boss has a mistress. She's not in Huasu City, but in Huasu City. That mistress manages his business in Huasu City. She secretly delivers some forbidden drugs to the rich people in Huasu City. Every other week, he secretly goes to Huasu City to meet his mistress. Go to Starflower City every other week? Zhang Li's mind moved as he thought of a plan. Chapter 48. He dispelled the idea of dealing with Xueqiu in Xinghua City. Xinghua City was a city with a highly developed legal system. Any illegal activities were prohibited. Even on the train to Xinghua City, no firearms were allowed. Even forbidden drugs could not be hidden under the inspection of various machines. Therefore, any forbidden drugs that Zhongli bought would be consumed directly in Suhua City. How many assets does your boss have? Zhongli continued to ask. We don't know. Boss's personal assets are not a secret. How can we know? But it should be a few million. Biao answered in a daze, greedily swallowing his saliva. Subconsciously, he wanted this money very much. When does he usually go out to meet his mistress? Weekends at night. We don't know the specifics. Boss always goes out alone. It's a big secret. After Zhongli asked everything clearly, he suddenly gathered his energy, and his brain cells became 10 times more active. His eyes emitted a light that was like that of a fox. Go to sleep, have a good sleep. When you wake up, you will forget everything. Yes, sleep, so sleepy. Biao fell asleep in the alley, unconscious. Zhongli took the 3 guns and carefully left the place. If there were no accidents, these 3 people would only wake up the next day. As for what would happen after they wake up, he was too lazy to care. He did not kill them personally. Although the 3 of them definitely had bad records and were covered in crimes, Zhongli didn't want to personally deal with them. Anyway, they didn't complete the mission this time, and the gang would definitely punish them severely. Their ending wouldn't be any better. Kacha! In a small alley, Zhongli played with the gun in his hand. It was made of a kind of alloy. It was stronger than tungsten steel and did not deform. The bullet was very small, but it had a strong explosive power and a long range. The effective range was 1,000 to 2,000 meters. In the era of the country 200 years ago, the effective range of a pistol was only 100 meters. Zhongli checked the bullet and found that it was a kind of metal core bullet the size of a mung bean. It had a strong propulsion and fast speed. The mung bean-sized metal contained nuclear technology. After it left the gun, it began to explode violently. This way, the gun did not have any recoil. Once it hit a person, the metal bullet would explode, blasting a large hole in the person's body. Its destructive power was extremely strong. This was a prohibited gun that could only be obtained from the black market. Who would have thought that Zhongli would obtain 3 of them, worth at least 30,000 celestial dollars? Moreover, the bullets were very expensive, with each bullet costing dozens of celestial dollars. However, this was a low-level gun. Some guns had a longer range, reaching up to 10,000 meters. Moreover, after the bullet was fired, it would automatically track and turn. There was a computer chip in the small bullet. However, this kind of bullet was even more expensive. One bullet cost more than 1,000 star dollars, and it was only used by the military when fighting on foreign planets. It seems that I can't return to Star City for now. Although Jiangli couldn't bear to part with the 3 guns, he knew that he couldn't bring them back. He was afraid that he would be arrested the moment he stepped onto the train. Let's stay in Huasu City for 3 days first. Tomorrow is the weekend anyway. If nothing goes wrong, Xueqiu should be going to meet his mistress. Jiang Li's heart was burning. Xueqiu should be carrying a lot of money with him. According to the resume I found on the internet, this person is very strong. Although he is not a hypnotist, his spiritual cultivation is probably the same as mine. He has 3 stages of deep sleep, dreaming of God power. But if I get rid of this person, how many families can I avenge? How much money can I get? Zheng Wenbing's family claimed to be a millionaire, but in fact, they probably didn't even have a few million in cash. As long as Zhongli got rid of this job and obtained Xueqiu's wealth, he would be able to surpass Zheng Wenbing. At that time, killing him would be as easy as flipping his hand. The only worry was that Xueqiu was very strong and couldn't be hypnotized. This would only alert the enemy. However, Zhongli had recently meditated on the brain of the universe, and his hypnosis skills had improved greatly. He could definitely hypnotize people with the same level of spiritual strength. Fortunately, I robbed 380,000 celestial dollars to buy the moonlight essence. Let's talk about it after my strength and spiritual state reached the peak. After Jiangli planned, he turned around and went to the security building. Brother, are you here to buy super protein again? Gowron also knew this Jianghua. I'm not going to buy super protein this time. I want to buy moon essence. How much is 1 bottle? Jiangli took out the chip and swiped his card. If it's a large purchase, it'll be 150,000 per bottle. If it's a small purchase, then it'll be 180,000. But brother, since you've done business with us once, I'll make the decision and give you 170,000. Then give me 2 bottles. Jiangli didn't even think about it and directly burned the money. 2 bottles of moon essence were already in his hands, and he was about to turn around and leave. Gowron quickly said, Brother, wait a minute. About the thing I told you last time, our company is hiring a hypnotist. Brother, are you interested? What's the salary? I don't have a hypnosis teacher qualification certificate. Jiangli stopped. That's no problem. After getting the certificate, you'll be supervised by the government. Gowron laughed. Actually, many people who have reached the level of beginner hypnotist don't go for the certification. It's actually more convenient for them to move around. There are many such experts in Suhua City. As for the salary, if you can hypnotize me, your monthly salary will be at least 100,000 celestial dollars. You can also receive the company's key training. The company even hires intermediate hypnotists to teach us hypnosis skills. Intermediate hypnotists teaching training. When Zhongli heard this, he was a little tempted. His current hypnosis skills were purely self-taught, and his progress was not fast. If it wasn't for the Soul Emperor's seal, it would be impossible for him to make a fortune in Suhua City. If he had the guidance of an intermediate hypnotist, he believed that he could improve by leaps and bounds. However, joining the security group was not a good thing. He would be restricted in every way. I will consider this matter carefully. I will contact you next time. After thinking about it, Zhongli once again rejected Gowron. It's a pity, but I respect Mr. Zhang's choice. Gowron spread out his hands. Zhongli hurriedly walked out. As soon as he walked out of the security building, he felt as if there were eyes staring at him from all directions. It was surveillance. Of course, it was not the people from the security group, but some gangs outside. There were many people who came to the security building to buy things, and anyone who came out was basically being watched. What a chaotic city. Zhongli shook his head, and his body quickly flashed into a small alley. He felt that many people were quickly following behind him. Bang! He quickly took out his pistol and fired at the wall in the distance. The wall immediately exploded, and a big hole immediately appeared. Not good. The other party has a gun. It's a highly lethal metal miniature nuclear bullet. Let's go. This is a fierce person. Some of the gang members were in chaos. Zhongli suddenly burst out, and his body quickly shuttled back and forth. With his current speed, he was as fast as a monkey, shuttling through the streets and alleys, and soon he got rid of the people following him. With his sixth sense, he confirmed that no one was following him. Zhongli hid in the depths of an abandoned and desolate building. He first checked the authenticity of the 2 bottles of moon spirit essence, and then began to consume them. This time, he swallowed an entire bottle in one gulp, and immediately felt his whole body cool down, as if he was enveloped by moonlight. His mind was unprecedentedly clear. Zhongli quickly entered the 3rd stage of deep sleep and began to practice the great Emperor's seal of the mind. Instantly, his body became as fast as the wind, and his hands formed seals, giving off a dreamy feeling. White mist was emitted from the pores of his body, and this was a sign that his physical and mental strength had reached the limit. Half an hour later, he suddenly woke up from the drunken fist state. He clenched his fist and felt that power was born from his heart. With a slight thought, his whole body was filled with explosive power. He felt that his physical strength had increased by a lot, and his brain cells had become more active. This is indeed good stuff. Moon Spirit Essence is even better than the super protein. Zhongli looked at the remaining bottle, and he sighed his heart at how advanced human technology was. They could even create the essence of the sun and the moon. When he was treating Schwebir, he had taken it drop by drop, and by the time the treatment was finished, he had only consumed half a bottle. But now that he had consumed an entire bottle, he could feel the power of this thing. Compared to the super protein, the Moon Spirit Essence had the ability to repair brain cells, slow down the aging of the brain, and even make cell division more active. Unfortunately, the price was really expensive. It's a pity that I don't have money, and I can't use it for a long time. If I take a bottle every day for a year, to what extent will my vitality increase? He was fantasizing. There shouldn't be anyone in Star City who could take the Moon Spirit Essence every day. Even if the lowest price for a bottle was $150,000, it would cost more than $50 million for a year. Who would invest so much in a person? Even if it was Ouyang Xing, he might reach his limit by consuming a bottle every month. Hence, he decided to hide in this building to rest and lay low. There were many abandoned buildings in Star City, and some of them were even left over from 100 years ago. No one rented them for business, and they could only be abandoned. Some buildings didn't even have property rights, and some homeless people would just find a place to stay. Of course, these buildings didn't have water and electricity, and even the toilets couldn't be used. Fortunately, Zhongli had the experience of surviving in the wild, and it wasn't a problem for him to hide in the buildings. He hid an abandoned building not far from the Slaughtering Blood Union and bought a high-powered telescope to observe day and night. On the 2nd day, he consumed another bottle of Moon Spirit Essence, and in one gulp, 170,000 star dollars were gone. In exchange, his mental state improved, and his physique slowly improved. Such an investment was really huge. I wonder if my vitality has reached one. Zhongli wanted to go back to school to test it. Ever since he went through military training and life and death battles, his mental state had improved, and through crazy cultivation, his martial techniques had improved. After consuming the Moon Spirit Essence, his great Emperor's Soul Seal, hand speed, and meditation had a slight improvement. Recently, he had invested more than 500,000 star dollars in his body. This investment couldn't be compared to Ouyang Xing, but he had the Dream Heart Sutra, and he wondered if he could make it even. Ouyang Xing had definitely invested millions in his body, which was several times more than him. This was incomparable. Up until now, he had only consumed 2 bottles of Moon Spirit Essence, and Ouyang Xing might have consumed more than 20 bottles. This time, I'll do a big job and get back Xuechao's money. Then, I can cultivate in peace and even groom my sister. Zhongli hid in the dark like a black leopard, hiding in the night. Chapter 49. At night, after the deep sleep training, his energy and stamina had recovered to the peak again. He watched the base camp of Hateful Blood League through the binoculars. Today was the weekend. As expected, he saw a few flying cars rush up from below and fly toward the train station. Just a diversion. He didn't care about those flying cars at all. He knew it was a diversion. The big boss of Hateful Blood League wasn't inside. These flying cars could be shot down easily. With a large caliber sniper rifle, One could shoot up to 5,000 meters in the sky. The spiral metal tracking nuclear bullets could easily aim at the flying cars. Now, the shooting range of pistols could reach 1,000 meters, not to mention the sniper rifle. As expected, after a while, a person came out of the headquarters. He seemed to be a small figure from Hateful Blood League and walked toward the train station. Zhongli immediately felt that person was extremely dangerous. It was like facing a magic fox. This was the sixth sense from the embryonic breathing training. It was very powerful and practical. With this sixth sense, Zhongli avoided danger time and time again without getting hurt. Other people couldn't feel how dangerous this small figure was. However, Zhongli could tell at first glance that this person was the boss of Hateful Blood League, Xueqiu. Xueqiu didn't bring anyone with him. He came out in disguise alone. It was the least dangerous. Even in a car, he could be targeted. On the street alone, if he encountered danger, he could dodge at any time. He was very flexible. People with good stamina could dodge bullets instantly, even if they were targeted. Also, people in deep sleep could concentrate and sometimes sense danger. They had more or less a sixth sense. Humph! He came out alone. Zhongli went downstairs immediately. He aimed at the target and followed him quietly. There was still a long way to the train station. He could finish Xueqiu on the way. When Xueqiu came out, his subordinates didn't know the route. This meant that he didn't have anyone with him. Xueqiu is too careful. If he goes out on a large scale, he could easily be ambushed by his enemies. He came out unknowingly without anyone suspecting him. Unfortunately, I have my eyes on him. Zhongli also arrived on the street. He believed that Xueqiu's sixth sense was not as sharp as his. Quietly following Xueqiu, Zhongli kept his distance. At the same time, he observed his surroundings. His thoughts flashed, and his spirit was focused. He meditated on the brain of the universe. The combination of the star area and his brain cells allowed him to keenly feel everything that was happening around him. No one was watching him. Xueqiu entered a deserted alley alone, which was a shortcut to the train station. It's here. Zhongli had simulated Xueqiu's route of going out alone many times. Sure enough, this time, Xueqiu went out according to his ideal route. He went around to another alley and walked in from another exit, meeting Xueqiu. When he entered the alley, he poured a bottle of wine on himself and stumbled, pretending to be a drunkard. Xueqiu was not tall, only 1.8 meters. For modern humans, he was considered average. In modern society, humans had perfect physiques, and there were many who were 1.9 meters tall. However, his muscles were very strong. He walked casually and seemed relaxed, but there was actually a special kind of rhythm to his movements. He was like a sleeping lion that had narrowed its eyes, and when it saw its prey, it would suddenly erupt with a roar that shook the earth. Zhongli stumbled over, still talking nonsense, reeking of alcohol. "Don't leave me, damn it. Don't leave me. I'm going to kill you, you adulterous couple." His voice was low, and his footsteps were unsteady, as if he would fall to the ground at any moment. Moreover, his hands were waving wildly. It was obvious that he was drunk. Xueqiu's body stopped, looking at this drunkard. He frowned, preparing to dodge. However, the drunkard's wildly waving hands suddenly became rhythmic the moment his eyes fixed on them. The speed of his fingers increased by dozens of times. Sometimes it was like flowers falling from the sky. Sometimes it was like a blooming lotus. Sometimes it was like rain hitting the banana leaves. Sometimes it was like two hearts. And sometimes it was like two rings on top of one another. His hands moved slightly, bringing up countless afterimages and the sound of the wind. Before Zhongli joined the military training, his hand speed with the Great Spirit Emperor seal was already very fast. During the military training, he understood the third stage of deep sleep. He could enter deep sleep during exercise, and his hypnotic hand speed had increased by at least half. In these 2 days of hiding, he had consumed 340,000 star dollars and the essence of the moon spirit. His physical strength had reached a new peak. Just now, when he broke into the alley, he pretended to be a drunkard, but in reality, his mind had entered the third stage of deep sleep. His mind was drunk, but not drunk, and his physical strength had increased to a new level. This time, he used all his strength to hypnotize without holding back. It was because Xueqiu was extremely powerful. He might not be weaker than Ouyang Xing. Moreover, he had a tough mind. How could a gang boss who killed his way out of the black market in Suhua City be weak? His vitality was at least one, or else he wouldn't be able to convince the masses. Jiang Li stumbled over, waved his hands, and suddenly performed the Great Spirit Emperor's seal, bringing up afterimages and the sound of the wind. This made Xueqiu's eyes blur. His heartbeat, breathing, and pulse had obviously decreased by one-fold. This was the sign of his mind being hypnotized. However, Xueqiu didn't fall. He was just a little absent-minded. Powerful indeed. Jiang Li had expected this. Since the hypnosis didn't work, he had a second plan, which was to directly attack, beat the opponent until he fainted or was seriously injured. Naturally, he wouldn't be able to focus his mind, which would make hypnosis much easier. Physical torture could destroy a person's mind. A seriously injured person definitely wouldn't have as strong a will as a healthy person. This was the principle of extorting a confession through torture. Whoosh! While Xueqiu was stunned, he took a step on the ground, like a dragon soaring into the sky. He dashed over. The distance of 30 meters only took him 5 seconds. C-class martial arts, Dragon Claw capture. The fire dragon burned. Claw shadows were everywhere. One attack was coming, but only one claw was real. Jiang Li attacked from the front. In reality, he bent his arm and grabbed the back of Xueqiu's head. The back of the head was where the neurons were concentrated. As long as it was hit, there would be a short period of fainting, which would result in insufficient blood supply to the brain. At this time, hypnosis was the most effective because the brain cells didn't have enough oxygen to support thinking. Damn it! Sneak attack. Danger was approaching. Xueqiu's eyes suddenly brightened, and he woke up. Killing intent boiled in his body. His whole body was as tough as a spear. How could he be confused at all? This was the iron will that had been cultivated through countless life and death battles. Boom! He threw out a punch, and his body seemed to inflate like a balloon. This punch was vague, like a ghost walking out of the netherworld. It was actually a B-class martial art, Ghost God Fist. The ghost appeared. D-class martial arts were grappling and muscle fighting. C-class martial arts involved breathing, internal organs, bones, and internal breath. As for B-class martial arts, it was a level higher as it involved meditation. For example, when practicing Ghost God Fist, there would be a meditation pattern when practicing each move. Imagine yourself becoming a powerful ghost god and suddenly stepping out of the netherworld. When practicing, the spirit would be in a trance and the mind would be one. This kind of movement combined with meditation martial arts was B-class. It was extremely powerful, but it was very difficult to practice. It could easily cause mental disorder, and when meditating, one would go mad. Meditation couldn't be practiced randomly. Jiang Li's meditation was the brain of the universe. If it wasn't for the help of the embryonic breath, his brain would have died long ago. Ghost God Fist, Jiang Li had seen it in the martial arts master system. It was really invincible, and he was blown away with one punch. Bang! The B-grade martial art, Ghost God Fist, and the C-grade martial art, Dragon Claw Great Capture, clashed together. Jiang Li immediately felt a sharp pain in his arm, as if his bones were about to break. His opponent's strength was extraordinary, and he had been through countless battles. His martial art cultivation was even above his own. It's definitely one vitality. Also, his spirit cultivation is extremely high, and he is even in the third stage of deep sleep like me. The moment Jiang Li's arm collided, he felt a strong killing intent and pressure from his opponent. In that instant, he even wanted to escape, not willing to face it. But the next thought, he warned himself that this was a challenge of the spirit, a battle of life and death, and he couldn't retreat. Otherwise, his spirit cultivation would go to waste. The more difficult it was, the more he had a challenge. There was nothing that could defeat him. Kill! He roared and attacked again. Boneless flexibility technique combined with Dragon Claw capture. He used all his strength. Black dragon turning back, fire dragon burning, white dragon spitting pearl, cloud dragon extending claw, and azure dragon out of water were all used. Then his body danced like a dragon, swaying with the wind, spinning nonstop. Twisting bones, spinning kill, bone disintegrating string stab, bone crushing cloud collapse, and bone crushing boulder break were all used. When it came to actual combat, it was a delightful one. Demon God appears. Xueqiu threw another punch, breaking through all of Jiang Li's moves and arriving in front of him. The wind howled, making it hard for him to breathe. Thunder. Jiang Li raised both of his hands and slammed them down. His entire arm turned into an arc, snake-like lightning. Thunder roared, and an explosive airflow appeared in his nostrils. This was no longer a martial art, but a move from the Soul Emperor's seal. This move was extremely powerful, like a divine thunder striking down. Its effect was to intimidate the enemy's spirit, causing them to be shocked and then dumbfounded, like a child who was struck by lightning. After cultivating the Soul Emperor seal for so long, he already knew that this seal was an unfathomable martial art. Oof. As the Soul Emperor seal slammed down, a thunder-like humming sound came. As expected, it made Xueqiu's body slow down, and his heart fluttered. When Jiang Li let out a long roar, his body pounced, and his hand cut in the air, making an ear-piercing sound. His arms suddenly twisted like a snake, attacking Xueqiu. This was Fierce Wind, another move from the Soul Emperor's seal. It was swift and fierce, shocking people's hearts. "Brother, where are you from? Let's talk." Xueqiu's mind wavered, but he suddenly opened his mouth. However, Jiang Li's knife hand had already slashed over, giving him no chance to breathe. "I'm going to tear you apart." Xueqiu bit his tongue, and the smell of blood rose again. Another punch. This punch simply had the feeling of tearing a living person apart and pulling them into hell. B-grade martial art, Demon God Fist, second move, Demon God Hell. Bang! They collided again. Both of them retreated at the same time. Jiang Li's skin was torn in the collision, and he was covered in blood. Xueqiu's arm also had a long cut. Whoosh! Disregarding their injuries, both of them pounced at the same time. They were as ferocious as wild beasts, not caring about their own safety at all. It was a life and death battle, and they did not care about their own lives. Demon God Prison. After dozens of continuous attacks, both of them were covered in blood. Xueqiu roared and punched again. It was like a prison, covering Jiang Li from all directions. Jiang Li did not care at all. Suddenly, his hands formed a circle, covering everything within. Boundless worlds, like a dream, collided. Bang, bang, bang. Crazy punches fell on Jiang Li's body like a storm. Jiang Li's hands hit Xueqiu's chest hard. Both of them were injured. Bada! Jiang Li suffered 8 or 9 punches in an instant. With every punch, his body made the sound of bones breaking. Blood even spurted out from his mouth and nose. It was internal bleeding. Who won and who lost? Chapter 50. My Heart. Xueqiu held his heart in his hands, breathing heavily. He staggered and walked in circles as if he was drunk. His heart was broken, and the blood supply to his body was severely insufficient. Although he had severely injured Jiang Li, he had also taken a fatal blow. Jiang Li's last blow had landed on his heart, almost killing him. Hypnosis. Jiang Li had been beaten beyond recognition. Now, he was relying on his remaining vitality to support himself. This was also the result of the embryonic breathing training. His vitality was much stronger than others. At this moment, he pounced. His hand moved again, but he did not attack. Xueqiu hurried to dodge, but his eyes were involuntarily attracted. Suddenly, he stopped moving. He stood there quietly, as if hypnotized. Xueqiu's heart was broken, and the blood supply was insufficient. Naturally, his brain cells could not receive enough energy and nutrients. No matter how strong a soul was, it could not be used in the real world without the support of the brain. "How much money do you have on you?" Jiang Li spat out a mouthful of blood and focused his mind to ask. 358 million. Xueqiu's voice was very numb. He could fall at any time. He was seriously injured. "This is your personal property." The funds of your gang should be on you too, right? Jiang Li spat out another mouthful of blood. He asked again. He felt that he could not hold on anymore. His brain was in a coma, and his nose was bleeding. The funds of the gang are managed by many of the higher-ups. It is not on me. Xueqiu fell to the ground. His body could not hold on anymore. Hurry up and transfer all the money you have to me. Jiang Li focused his last bit of energy. The account number is... He knew that if Xueqiu died or went into a coma, then all his efforts would be in vain. Even if he found the chip, it would be useless if he did not know the password. Plus, if he died, he could not hypnotize him to get up again. Under Jiang Li's hypnosis, Xueqiu took out his chip and started to transfer. His hands were trembling as he entered the password. At the same time, he said in a dazed voice, "Transfer to account XXXXX3. 58 million star dollars." This chip was obviously advanced. It needed voice verification and a password. Ding dong. Jiang Li saw a series of numbers appear on his chip. He could not help but let out a long sigh. His mind was completely relaxed, and his body almost fell to the ground. I have to hold on. I can't fall here. I have to hold on. Jiang Li clenched his teeth. Relying on his own willpower, he staggered and ran away covered in blood. At this moment, Xueqiu was completely unconscious and his breath was weak. It was very likely that he would die immediately. In the abandoned building, Jiang Li finally put the milky white stone in his mouth and began to breathe. This was a life-saving treasure. If he did not use his embryonic breath to damage his life potential, he would not be able to make it back to Xinghua City. He would be killed by the robbers on the way back. Even walking would be difficult for him. Once again, he felt the threat of death. Every time he breathed in and out, his life potential was mobilized. After a long time, the sky brightened and he finally opened his eyes. His body was no longer aching. However, he knew that this injury could not be healed by embryonic breathing. Embryonic breathing was not omnipotent. This time, the embryonic breath could only protect his life and allow him to receive treatment in Xinghua City. He had to return to the hospital for a full-body treatment. He got up and left. 3 hours later, he finally arrived at Xinghua City by train. He went directly to Xinghua Hospital for a full-body examination. In the snow-white ward, Jiang Li was lying on the bed. Several doctors were arranging equipment to examine him. Then he was sent to the operating room for various treatments, including internal organ repair, bone repair, and nerve repair. If it was 200 years ago, this kind of injury would have killed him. But now, as long as he did not die on the spot and was treated in time, he would be able to recover. Jiang Li was awake during the operation. He felt that his body was gradually recovering. When he was pushed out of the operating room, he felt that he was full of energy. However, the attending doctor came to the bed with a serious face and sent the other doctors and nurses away. Student Jiang Li, did you take some kind of forbidden drug that burns your life potential? Although you're full of energy now, it seriously damaged the source of your life, causing the number of cell division to decrease. Your cells are very strong now, but you can only live until 30 years old. What? Jiang Li turned over and crawled up. How could this be? You were seriously injured this time. You should have gone into shock and coma, but you managed to come to the hospital. If my guess is right, you probably took some kind of forbidden drug that strengthened your cells, but reduced the number of division. You should know that a person's life is proportional to the number of cell division. A chicken with a lifespan of 30 years can divide its cells 25 times. A mouse with a lifespan of 3 years can only divide 12 times. The number of cell division in your body is much less than that of a normal person. So, after my examination, your lifespan is only about 30 years. You have to be mentally prepared. The attending doctor was a middle-aged man with a serious expression. I have investigated your identity. You are the focus of the school's training. You want to enter Star Sky University, but you can't use forbidden drugs to harm your life. You should know that before the Star Sky University entrance exam, you have to go through a physical examination. With your current physical condition, you are not qualified to register. What? After hearing this, Jiang Li's heart twitched. The damage to his embryonic breathing was almost healed by the large amount of nutrient drinks, But this time, he almost died in the life and death battle with Shueqiu. In order to persevere, he had no choice but to use his embryonic breathing, which deepened the damage and caused permanent damage to his cells. This made him nervous, and in that instant, he had a feeling of despair. Indeed, there was a physical examination before registering at Sky University. If he was still like this, he would not even be qualified to take the exam. Sky University would not allow a person with a lifespan of 30 years to participate in the exam. They wanted a complete genius. Even those who had undergone genetic modification could not participate in the exam because the original human genes were more malleable. After all, he was not a professional doctor. He thought he would be fine, but after the examination, it turned out to be so serious. If he could not even take the exam at Sky University, then what was the point of being strong? This time, he used his embryonic breathing to stabilize his injuries, causing permanent damage. But if he did not use his embryonic breathing, he would die halfway back to Sky City. Doctor, is there any way to make up for this damage? Replenish your life force and cells and return to normal? Zhongli hurriedly asked. There is a way, but the cost is very high. The attending doctor thought for a moment and said, you can buy moon spirit essence and consume it every day. It will activate all the cells in your body and gradually increase their potential. You will be able to recover in about 3 years. Normal nutrient solutions are useless for cell division. 3 years. Zhongli shook his head. This is my last semester. At most, I only have half a year. And even if you give me 3 years, how much money will it cost to buy moon essence every day? Then there is no other way. It is impossible to recover in half a year. The doctor shook his head. Of course, unless your spiritual cultivation can enter a meditative state and control the body's endocrine system, then you can take moon essence and sun essence to make up for each other. Also, you can buy a lot of drugs to increase the potential of your cells. This depends on your own miracle. Zhongli sighed and touched the milky white stone hanging on his chest. He did not regret it. Without this thing, there was no hope at all. After leaving the hospital, although Zhongli had 58 million yuan in his bank account, he was depressed. What should I do? Although I got so much money, the damage to my body is even greater. If this goes on, I won't even be qualified to take the exam at Sky University. A person who can only live to 30 will definitely not be accepted by Sky University. Zhongli shook his head. Forget it. Even if I can't get into Sky University, it doesn't matter. With my current skills, I can live a good life. My cell potential will also be restored. I'm only 17 now. Even if I reach 30, I still have 13 years left. Can't I recover by then? I will definitely not use my embryonic breath in the future. Thinking of this, his mood improved. Late at night, after resting, Zhongli came to the park again. His body's movement speed was obviously much more agile. After the battle with Shueqiu, he understood the essence of combat and deepened his spiritual cultivation. Meow. As soon as he landed, Dahe the cat pounced on him, followed by Flower Mask King, Big Ming, 2 Ming, 3 Ming, and 4 Ming. How have you been eating these days? Dahe, I have prepared enough food and water for you to hide in the cat's nest. You have to eat obediently and don't waste food, okay? Zhongli patted Dahe on the head. Dahe nodded like a human and wrote on the ground with its claws. We are all good. Although the 5 words were distorted, they were decent. That's good. Zhongli didn't feel anything at first. Suddenly, he was stunned and stared at the 5 words on the ground. He almost jumped 3 feet high. Dahe, you can write? This was earth-shattering news. A cat could write and had the intelligence of a human. Meow. Dahe jumped twice, then began to meditate, breathe, and meditate. The cat's body was like a human sitting cross-legged, with its upper body standing up. After a while, Zhongli felt its heartbeat, blood, and pulse were several times more relaxed. Cultivating into deep sleep, Zhongli was shocked again. You are cultivating crystal meditation? You have entered deep sleep so quickly? It was too fast. Only a few days had passed. That time, Zhongli taught Dahe in his dream to cultivate crystal meditation. Although he knew that a cat's mind was very pure, 100 times purer than humans, and it was very easy to cultivate, but it was difficult to open the apertures. He was still shocked that it could enter deep sleep so quickly. Now, Dahe's wisdom was equivalent to that of a 15 or 16-year-old child. It was very mature and knew a lot of things. Especially spiritual cultivation, Dahe would soon reach Jiang Li's realm, the third stage of deep sleep. Come on, everyone, eat what I just bought. Four-winged tiger bone paste. This is the four-winged tiger from outer space, the pinnacle of the feline family. Their bone paste food is especially useful for felines. I specially checked. This is the food that many big bosses in the elite area use to feed their cats. Zhongli gave a bunch of paste jars to these cats. This was not a forbidden medicine. It could be bought on the market. It was also very beneficial to humans, making their muscles and bones strong, but it was useless for Zhongli. Of course, it was first given to Dahe, Flower Mass King, Big Ming, and Tu Ming, so that they could give it to the cats below, so as not to cause competition. They all cultivated crystal meditation, plus Zhongli taught them words in their dreams, and gradually developed wisdom. The seeds of cultivation took root and germinated in their hearts, and sooner or later, they would bloom into beautiful fruits. Chapter 51. After settling the group of cats, Zhongli began to cultivate again. Then, he began to cultivate the Soul Emperor's seal. This time, he felt the difference in this martial art after actual combat. He fought with martial arts masters and then fought with Shueqiu. He understood more and more of the true meaning of this martial art. He knew that to repair the damage to his body, he could only rely on the improvement of his spirit. Once he reached the state of meditation, he could quickly recover with all kinds of supplements. The attending doctor had also said that there was only hope if he reached the state of meditation, controlling the body's endocrine system and prescribing the right medicine. The more profound his cultivation, the more he felt that every movement of the Soul Emperor's seal should be more profound. Unfortunately, he couldn't open the milky white stone and couldn't see the cultivation below. His body swayed like a ghost in the park from east to west, south to north, left, and right. His whole body turned into a shadow. His arms danced wildly in the air, as if he had a few more arms, like the 8-armed heavenly king. After forming a set of hand seals, he crossed his arms and entered the deepest state of thinking. His brain meditated on the brain of the universe. He raised his head and looked at the starry sky. It was as if he felt that in the depths of the distant universe, the brain galaxy formed by trillions of planets was quietly waiting, carrying the thoughts of the entire universe. Humans, planets, and the void were all formed by the thoughts of the brain of the universe. Everything was the thoughts and thoughts of the brain of the universe. It was its dream. Therefore, the boundless universe was like a dream. The Diamond Sutra said that everything was like a dream. If the universe is a living body, then we are all the thoughts and thoughts of the universe, not real, but illusory. Zhongli suddenly felt emotional. Life and death were impermanent. Everything was a dream. He sat down and quietly comprehended this state. After an unknown amount of time, the sky was already bright. He looked at his watch. It was actually 10 o'clock. Should I go to the black market in Suhua City and earn a lot of money to buy Moon's Spirit Essence? Beep, beep, beep. At this time, someone actually called. Jiang Li's heart moved. It was actually Luohan. Hello. Luohan's familiar voice came from the phone. Jiang Li, how's your cultivation recently? My cultivation is pretty good. Jiang Li smiled. Ever since the last military training and the life and death battle, I've made some breakthroughs. Congratulations. Luohan's virtual projection appeared. Are you free during the day? How about I treat you to lunch? Of course I am. When Zhongli heard this, he was a little excited. Luohan actually took the initiative to treat him to a meal. Usually, it was a guy who would treat a girl, and the girl would refuse. Now, the situation was reversed. Since Luohan took the initiative to invite him to dinner, Zhongli had no reason to refuse. Where shall we eat? I'll treat you. I made a small fortune recently, so I can afford to treat you to a meal. Zhongli had $1 million in cash in his hands. He was a millionaire. How could he have stage fright when it came to treating someone to a meal? Where are you? I'll pick you up. Luohan smiled. Okay, I'll use the chip to turn on the location. You can fly over directly. Zhongli quickly turned on the friend location system. Then I'm coming. Wait for me on the roof of your house. Luohan hung up the phone. Zhongli left a message for his parents and sister, saying that he wouldn't be eating dinner at home. Then, he ran to the roof. After waiting for about 5 or 6 minutes, a flying car soared into the sky and slowly landed, bringing with it a gust of wind. The car window opened, and Luohan's charming smile appeared. Zhongli, get in the car. Okay. Zhongli's body moved, and without the slightest trace of smoke or fire, he sat in the front passenger seat. You've improved so fast. Luohan was surprised. I think you can almost compete with Ouyang Xing now. You've improved a lot, too. Zhongli accurately grasped Luohan's heartbeat and her own rhythm. He felt that her breath and physical strength had also improved a lot. Unfortunately, his spiritual cultivation had not reached a meditative state. Otherwise, he could feel Luohan's brain and spiritual fluctuations, and thus speculate her spiritual cultivation. Everyone has improved after coming out of the military training. Luohan recalled the military training and killing the alien warriors. She still sighed. After Sheren's throat was slit, she wandered between life and death. She comprehended more than me. I have to work harder and not let her surpass me. Woo woo woo. The engine of the car started, and it soared into the sky, flying hundreds of meters in the air. Zhongli looked at the blue sky and white clouds, and his nose smelled the fragrance exuded by Luohan. He felt very comfortable. Half a year ago, even if Luohan invited him, he felt ashamed, but now he has a clear conscience. He has enough strength, a beautiful future, and a promising future. He is worthy of Luohan. Even if Luohan's family is very big, with assets of more than 100 million is nothing. He is now making rapid progress, and soon he will have full equal strength. What are you thinking about? Luohan asked while driving. Her long youthful hair occasionally blew on Zhongli's face, making him feel happy. Nothing. Zhongli woke up. I was thinking if we were all admitted to Starry Sky University, what would college life be like? Tsinghua City's best university, Tsinghua University, can be regarded as a grade. Compared with Starry Sky University, it is not even a cottage. Luohan's tone was deeply yearning. I really hope we can be admitted. Hey, are we going to the Silver Horse building to eat? Zhongli saw Luohan's car descending toward the majestic building in the distance. On top of the building, there was a sculpture of a Pegasus, sparkling with silvery light. When the Pegasus spread its wings, it had a wingspan of a few thousand meters, reflecting the sunlight. At night, it would be released, allowing the entire Star City to see it clearly. This is one of the city's landmarks. It is also the most expensive place in the city for food and drink. A meal often costs tens of thousands of star dollars, which belongs to the rich can afford to spend. Zhongli once saw girls boasting on many college student websites. Today my boyfriend took me to the Silver Horse building for dinner. Then they took photos and posted them on the internet, attracting many onlookers. Some hate the rich, and some are envious. Some girls even posted that whoever invites her to the Silver Horse building for dinner, she will be friends with that person. Chasing girls is now popular in Tsinghua City. As long as you bring her to the Silver Horse building for dinner, you will definitely be able to chase her, and the success rate is at least 90%. Zhongli has never been here to eat because he can't afford it. Today, Luohan brought him here for dinner. What does it mean? If you want to eat good food in Tsinghua City, you have to come to the Silver Horse building. Luohan smiled. What's wrong? Don't be nervous. I will treat you today. Ha! How can I let a girl treat me? Don't look down on me. I recently made a small fortune. I can still afford to treat you to a meal. What do you want to eat today? Just order it. Zhongli shook his head. What kind of fortune did you make? Luohan blinked her eyes and guessed. I heard that you have been studying hypnosis crazily recently. Did you become a primary hypnotist? And I also know that you used hypnosis to treat Sheren's sister, Schwerer. Roughly so. Anyway, I made a small fortune. Zhongli naturally won't tell the truth. He got 58 million from the Black Blood Union. That is not a small fortune. Luohan's own savings may not even be that much. Then I'll take advantage of you today. Luohan's eyes flickered. It doesn't matter. Zhongli spread his hands and made a helpless look. The car stopped on the wings of the huge silver horse, and immediately a security guard came forward to command. Zhongli looked at the surrounding environment. The ground was shiny and spotless. Looking into the distance, the entire Xinghua city can be seen. There's a feeling of being on a spaceship. Let's go to the highest horsehead restaurant. It's next to the window. The scenery there is better. I have already booked a seat. Luohan was familiar with the way. She passed through the dreamlike hall and took the suspension elevator to the top floor. It was really a private room, separated by crystal. You can see the hall from below, and you can have a bird's-eye view of the whole city from the window. The two sat face to face. Zhongli stroked the sofa. The silver metal is a precious space metal. It is very noble. It is called mithril, which was seized from a strange planet by the Earth. This kind of mithril is good for the human body. It emits some slight beneficial rays that can treat a variety of diseases, so furniture made of mithril is very expensive. The decoration of the Silver Horse building is all made of mithril. Look, what dishes do you want to eat? Next to it, there is a big virtual screen with many styles of dishes and prices. Zhongli looked at them. They're all rare items, great tonics, but the price is expensive. A small dish costs at least 500 star dollars. And this is just a snack. Precious dishes are not less than 1,000 star dollars. I will start now. Luohan smiled, thinking that Zhongli is embarrassed. Go ahead, order whatever you like. Zhongli seems absent-minded, thinking about how to repair his injuries. Well, then give me a 7-color crystal fruit plate, a plate of stir-fried moon rabbit flour, and boiled firefish fillet. Just 3 dishes, we can't eat much. Luohan ordered 3 dishes. That is 3,000 star dollars. She is saving money for Zhongli. The two talked and waited for the dishes to be served. The sky gradually darkened. Starhua City is full of lights. Looking from here, there's a kind of feeling of suddenly looking back, but that person is in the dim light. This atmosphere is most suitable for couples. In the hall below, the number of couples gradually increased, and the music in the entire building suddenly changed. The melody became ethereal, and it was filled with a unique charm. Zhongli had never heard such a tune before, and he felt as if his soul had been touched. What song is this? He saw that the people in the hall are in a state of intoxication. This song is called Immortal. It was created by the human spiritual master Jiang Nailin and his companions. Luohan's face showed a look of worship. This song can touch the human soul. That ethereal heart. How can you break free from the shackles? The God living in the body, when will you awaken? Outside the universe, is there a pure land that I yearn for? My lover, not in the mortal world, but in the void, eternal freedom. When Zhongli heard the lyrics of the song, Immortal, he felt that his spirit and the universe had become one. His thoughts were released limitlessly, and he comprehended many things that he had never comprehended before. This song was written by the human spiritual master Jiang Nailin, and it will touch people with understanding. Jiang Nailin is my idol, a godlike man. Luohan did not seem to have Jiang Li's understanding. She only felt that the song touched her soul, and she did not enter an ethereal state. She continued, his family is the Jiang family that can produce the essence of the sun and moon, the sun and moon group. The sun and moon group now has a lot of weight in the entire human business world, and it is all because of his reputation. Otherwise, how can they monopolize the entire manufacturing of the sun and moon essence? Zhongli woke up from his ethereal state. Sun and moon group Jiang family? He had heard of the sun and moon group before. It was a giant group that spanned many planets, manufacturing drugs, mechas, and even participated in the development of warships. Although Luohan's family was a big company, it was not even a hair of the Sun and Moon Group. However, the Sun and Moon Group did not have much business on Earth, and it seemed to be dedicated to the development of space. The Sun and Moon Group is controlled by the Jiang family, and it is also surnamed Jiang. Zhongli shook his head. His surname was Jiang, and so was the Sun and Moon Group, but the difference was too big. One was a dragon, and the other was an ant. Beep, beep, beep. At this moment, his chip vibrated again. Someone had called. Is it Serene? Chapter 52. Jiangli looked at the phone display, but he was stunned. Then he clicked on it, and Serene's virtual avatar also appeared. Jiangli, are you free? I will invite you to the Silver Horse building for dinner. Thank you for saving me last time. Before Jiangli spoke, Luohan immediately came over and said heavily, Serene, Jiangli and I are eating in the Silver Horse building. If you ask him again, you can only do it tomorrow. You are in the Silver Horse building? Serene saw Luohan and heard the background music of Eternal Life. She couldn't help but snort angrily. Jiangli, you actually don't ask me out. What do you mean? Oh, I'm sorry. Come here, and the three of us will eat together. Jiangli had a headache. He knew that Luohan and Serene would definitely quarrel when they were together. Well, I'll come right away. Serene hung up the phone. I'll talk to you when I come. 10 minutes later, Serene flew up and arrived directly. Oh, Serene, I booked a couple seats. There are only 2 seats. What should I do? Luohan said deliberately. The two often quarreled, and Jiangli was used to it. It doesn't matter. I will sit with Jiangli. Serene smiled coldly, and she actually sat down next to Jiangli. Jiangli was still immersed in the ethereal music atmosphere of the song Eternal Life, but Serene's soft body touched him, and he immediately woke up. Luohan saw that Serene deliberately annoyed her. She gently pressed her palm on the table. In an instant, there was a bit of momentum of a goshawk in the sky. Serene, you seem to be very dissatisfied with me. How about we compete? Let's compete. We don't need to eat. How about we go to the school's fighting room now? Serene's fighting spirit was boiling. Her body was as straight as a spear, and her entire body was trembling slightly. Her aura was like a sharp sword being unsheathed. Waiter, can I have an extra seat? I want to sit alone. Jiangli rolled his eyes at the 2 women. We're all going through life and death together. Don't be so angry. I'll order a few more dishes. Jiangli, if Luohan and I were in danger at the same time, who would you save first? Serene threw out a difficult question. Whoosh. Luohan also pricked up her ears, wanting to see how Jiangli would answer. A test of a man's IQ. With me here, you will never encounter any danger. Jiangli's eyes sharpened as he recalled the scene where he killed the leader in white. Luohan and Serene looked at each other and recalled Jiangli's bravery and fearlessness when he killed the alien warriors. What supplements are you guys eating now? I feel that my cultivation has reached a bottleneck. No matter what supplements I eat, it will not increase my vitality. Jiangli was still concerned about the fact that he only had 30 years to live. Right now, the best medicine on the market is the Star Body Strengthening Pill. It costs 2,000 star dollars for one. However, the longer this medicine is taken, the less effective it will be. Luohan suggested to Jiangli. Actually, the best thing to do now is to take some forbidden medicine. The best forbidden medicine is, of course, the moon spirit essence. Unfortunately, it's too expensive. Serene continued. This is actually the essence of the sun and moon recorded in the ancient cultivator's notes. 200 years ago, no one knew what it was. Later on, humans obtained the technology from the alien battleship and finally managed to refine it. How often do you take the moon spirit essence? Luohan asked. 1 bottle per month. Serene did not hide anything. I think you're the same as me. 1 bottle per month is already the limit of our family's nurturing. Ouyang Xing might have a little more. You should have 2 bottles per month. Hearing Serene and Luohan's discussion, Jiangli knew that the landlord's family did not have any surplus food. This kind of thing was expensive. Even the rich could not afford it. It was said that the living expenses given to her by her family every month was only about 100,000 star dollars. I recently heard news from the family that the Sun and Moon Corporation's Jiang family intends to enter the Earth's market. Once they enter, the price of the Sun and Moon essence will change from being smuggled to direct sales. The price will drop, Luohan said. I also heard this news. The Sun and Moon essence is now a forbidden medicine. If the Sun and Moon Corporation wants to enter the Earth's market, they will probably go through the black market in the Suhua city. The family is also opening up the black market in the Suhua city. When the time comes, they will buy the forbidden medicine to do business. Sharon nodded. If the price of the sun and moon essence drops, then the value of a hypnotist will increase. The moon spirit essence could only be taken when one was in a deep sleep state to resist the mental hallucinations and stimulation. Ordinary people would not be able to enter a deep sleep state. At this time, the value of a beginner hypnotist would be completely revealed. Sun and Moon Corporation, Jiang family? Jiangli was puzzled. The Sun and Moon Corporation is a human giant enterprise. It is rumored that their power has penetrated to the elite area. How can I take a fancy to a small black market in the Suhua city? No matter how small a mosquito is, it is still meat. The black market in the Suhua city is getting bigger and bigger. The annual sales of forbidden medicine have reached billions. More than a dozen cities around Xinghua City, Yuehua City, Baohua City, Fuhua City all rely on this black market to transport forbidden medicine. The big shots of the Sun and Moon Corporation don't take a fancy to it, but some of their management want to expand their business. Naturally, they want to completely occupy this place. Sharon said, the Jiang family is an ancient family. In the era of the state, they were already the overlord. Later, when the technology exploded, they took a share and established the Sun and Moon Corporation. Jiangli, your surname is also Jiang. It is possible that you also have the blood of the Jiang family 200 years ago. I'm a nobody. Jiangli smiled very casually. Let's eat. The dishes are here. Plates of exquisite delicacies were served, and the aroma was overflowing. Unfortunately, the portion of each plate was very small. Of course, those who came to the Silver Horse building paid attention to style. The food was small, so it appeared tasteful and elegant. Otherwise, a large plate of food placed in front of them would really make people feel vulgar. It tastes good. Luohan and Sharon tasted it and nodded. The dishes made by the chef of the Silver Horse building are different from what we eat at home. They're made with the same ingredients, but the taste is much more delicious and stimulates the taste buds. Of course, the chefs of the Silver Horse group are second to none. Jiangli ate a jade-bone flying dragon, which was actually a precious alien bird. Its whole body seemed to be made of jade. He took a bite and felt his pores explode. His whole body was breathing, and his internal breath was smooth. This is the dish I just ordered. This dish costs tens of thousands. Luohan frowned. It doesn't matter. Jiangli had millions on him, and his words seemed to be understated. Didn't you say that you wanted to kill me? I saw that the dishes you ordered were all for me to save money. So, I simply ordered some myself. What's going on? Why do you want us to leave? How can you drive away a guest? What about the credibility of the Silver Horse building? We are driving us away in the middle of the meal? At this moment, there was a commotion and the music Eternal Life in the hall below stopped. Dear customers, I'm really sorry. There's a little problem with the Silver Horse building and it needs to be closed. So, customers who are eating, please leave the restaurant. We will waive all your fees. On the huge virtual screen, a beautiful waitress appeared, apologizing and explaining with a pleasant voice. Although the words were pleasant to hear, the waiters had already appeared in the restaurant and asked people to leave. This was driving people away. How could such a thing happen? Jiangli was stunned. How could this happen? The Silver Horse Group has a good reputation. How could they do something like driving away customers? Luohan and Sharon both raised their heads. At this time, the waiter had come over. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a small matter in the Silver Horse building. Please leave immediately. What small matter? Luohan pointed outside the window. Did someone come over and book the entire Silver Horse building, and you actually drove away customers? Jiangli looked out of the window, and sure enough, he found that in the distance, a black convoy was flying over like locusts, lined up in the sky, and seemed to be waiting for a car to fly in the distance. This kind of power? Is it the mayor of Xinghua City? The mayor will not disturb the people like this, and other senior government officials will not disturb the people like this. Otherwise, it will have a great impact if it is reported. Then there is only one possibility, that is, it is a big figure in a private family group. However, There doesn't seem to be such an arrogant group in the entire Xinghua city. Zhongli looked at it from afar. The car gradually approached, and there was a Jiang character behind the license plate. On the license plate, at a personalized name, he was taken aback. This is really a big group. They have made great contributions to the government to get a personalized license plate. In modern society, cars are all flying. The roads on the ground are only subways, light rail, and sidewalks. It is completely different from the road congestion many years ago. Car control is very strict, and only one-star citizens can apply for the purchase. Coupled with the high price, few people can afford it. So now, even in the sky, there are very few cars flying around. However, now the locust-like cars are arranged in 2 rows, neat and tidy, like 2 black dragons in the air. This kind of financial resources and style is absolutely not comparable to any group. I'm sorry, today the Sun and Moon Group came to our Xinghua city for an inspection, and the business team temporarily booked the entire Silver Horse building. I hope you can forgive us, the waiter said expressionlessly. This time, we pay the bill for free. Sun and Moon Group, Serene and Luohan took a breath. Did they really come over? What a big aura, Sun and Moon Group, Jiang family. Zhongli stood up, but he didn't feel that the Jiang family was very powerful. He only felt that the other party was very arrogant. No, let's go. Luohan was very unhappy. The meal ended on a sour note. When Zhongli returned home, his parents and sister were resting and watching TV after dinner. Hey, brother, aren't you eating outside? Why are you back so soon? Zhang Xian was a little strange. I went to the Silver Horse building for dinner, but unfortunately, something big happened. It seems that the Sun and Moon Group has booked the entire building. Zhongli spread out his hands. Sun and Moon Group. Hearing this name, Jiang Zhendong's whole body suddenly trembled and he shuddered. Zhongli keenly felt it. Dad, were you feeling uncomfortable? Chapter 53. It's okay, I'm fine. Jiang Zhendong waved his hand and suddenly looked at the TV. Local news. Mr. Jiang Zhenyue, a senior executive of the Sun and Moon Group, led his team to Xinghua City for a business inspection. The mayor hosted a banquet in the Silver Horse building, and the 2 sides discussed a series of things about the construction of a pharmaceutical factory in Xinghua City. On the TV, at the top of the Silver Horse building, the mayor shook hands with a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was dignified, and he was a big shot. Even through the TV, one could feel his imposing momentum and majesty. His father's face became more and more ugly. Jiang Li immediately noticed it, frowned secretly, and a premonition rose. Is it possible that we have something to do with the Sun and Moon Group? Otherwise, how could father's reaction be so big? His heart was full of fog, but he remembered that he got the vitality of one in the exam. His father said that he wanted to get back his wealth. His brother, and he were still guessing that the Jiang family must be a big family. Otherwise, how could Jiang Li not see his grandparents since he was a child, and there were no relatives in the family? This was incredible in modern society. Dad, do we have anything to do with the Jiang family of the Sun and Moon Group? He suddenly asked. No. Jiang Zhendong was stunned, but everyone could see that he did not mean it. Zhongli nodded and did not ask much. He had always been sensible, and unlike his brother, he would never cause trouble for his parents. He only knew how to silently cultivate and shield his family from the wind and rain. Now the family was very calm, but his sixth sense told him that it was likely that because of the arrival of the Sun and Moon Group, a storm was brewing. The next day, Zhongli came to the security building of the black market of Suhua City again. Brother Jiang, you are here again? The reception was still Gaorun. I heard that the price of the moon spirit essence is going to be reduced. Zhongli said the first sentence. Brother, you're really well informed. The Sun and Moon conglomerate has stationed themselves in the black market of Huasu City, and they seem to have the intention to transport their goods here. However, the black market of Huasu City has been established for so many years, and there are so many gangs and forces here that even the Sun and Moon conglomerate can't interfere. If you want to buy the moon spirit essence, then I suggest you wait a few days and see the changes in the market. Gaorun was very smooth. A powerful dragon cannot suppress a local snake. Zhongli was silent for a moment. Do you have any drugs that can repair cells, increase the number of cell divisions, and increase the potential of life? Increase the number of cell divisions? Gao Ren was taken aback for a moment, then looked at Zhongli from head to toe. Brother, did you consume some potion that burns your life potential in order to achieve success? It leads to a reduction in lifespan. Not bad. Zhongli knew that he couldn't hide it. Takanabu's eyes were very sharp. This is indeed difficult. Usually, burning one's life potential can increase one's strength in a short period of time, but it usually harms one's cells and they won't live for long. Such examples are everywhere. Gao Ren hesitated for a moment. Actually, it's not that there's no way, but it needs to be nurtured slowly and consume more essence of the sun and moon, and it would take around 3 to 5 years for it to recover. Sure enough, it was exactly the same as what the attending doctor had said. Is there any way to recover in a short period of time? Zhongli asked. Then we can only use the fruit of life. Gao Ren sighed. But this thing is very precious. Fruit of life? Zhongli was taken aback for a moment. Yes, the fruit of life is a kind of fruit cultivated by humans using advanced technology in space. It can increase the activity of human cells. For example, an old man who has lived for 100 years will die soon, but if he takes the fruit of life, he can extend his life for a few more years. Moreover, this thing is a holy item for healing. Even if the injury is serious, it can protect the life and restore vitality. In the elite area, it is used as a healing medicine for the big shots in battle. It is a forbidden medicine among forbidden medicines. Gao Ren's eyes flickered. Our security group doesn't have it for the time being. If brother wants it, you can pay a deposit first. We will get it for you. 8 million for one? Zhongli frowned. He couldn't afford it. Can it be a little cheaper? Like 3 million? Brother, you are making it difficult for me. Gao Ren's face showed pain. 3 million is not even enough for the transportation. Do you know how much it costs to transport the fruit of life from the elite area? 8 million is already the lowest price. That's good. Zhongli didn't buy anything and turned to leave. He couldn't afford 8 million even if he sold everything he had. Wait, Gao Ren said again. Brother, are you interested in being hired by our security group as a hypnotist? Have you thought about it? If you really want to restore your potential quickly and make up for your cell damage, joining our security group is the best choice. That's good, I can join. But first, I will not do anything illegal. Second, I will join as a free person without signing any contract and without any restrictions. If you need my help, I will help. Every time I do something, I will receive a reward. Zhongli immediately put forward the conditions. Sure enough, as soon as the conditions were put forward, he was a little embarrassed. To become a hypnotist of our security group, you must sign a contract. Without the contract, this precedent cannot be set. Really? Zhongli's eyes seemed to emit a faint light. Staring at Gao Ren, his hand slightly waved. If I say it's okay, then it's okay. What do you think? Looking at Zhongli's eyes, Gao Ren's face was a little pale, and his eyes became blurred. Yes, if you say it's okay, then it's okay. Gao Ren, how much money do you have? 2 million. Gao Ren answered truthfully. Is there any fruit of life in the security group? Zhongli asked again. Yes, only 3. Gao Ren was completely hypnotized. He answered whatever he wanted. What is the real price? The purchase price is 3 million, plus various channels of transportation and risks. It's about 4 million. In that case, wake up. Zhongli snapped his fingers. Snap! Gao Ren woke up from the state of hypnosis, and suddenly his face became very ugly. Did you just hypnotize me? I just want to show you my strength. Zhongli smiled. Didn't you say before that if I can hypnotize you, I will definitely be qualified to sign a contract with the security group? You're also a beginner hypnotist. Amazing. Gao Ren's face changed for a while, and he controlled himself. Yes, I am a beginner hypnotist. I dare say that no beginner hypnotist can hypnotize me. Only an intermediate hypnotist can completely hypnotize me. I'm not an intermediate hypnotist. Zhongli knew that intermediate hypnotists were all big shots. The reason why he could hypnotize Gao Ren now was entirely because of the Soul Emperor seal and the meditation of the brain of the universe. But I will soon step into that realm. He was showing his potential to let Gao Run understand his value. The security group has 3 Fruit of Life. The purchase price is $3 million star dollars each, but you said that you don't have it, and you even bid $8 million. I'm also an old customer. Brother Gao Run, don't be so greedy, okay? Jiang Li's mouth showed a smile. He understood the other party's intention. Brother Jiang, I'm a businessman. I will definitely raise the price. Gao Run smiled bitterly. If you want the Fruit of Life, we must ask for $8 million because this thing is difficult to get, and it can only be circulated from the elite area. The risk of shipping it is very high. It's still the same. Don't sign a contract. Don't do anything harmful. I am free. Jiang Li always insisted on the principle. Also, I should be able to reach the level of an intermediate hypnotist soon. At that time, the price will not be this. Intermediate hypnotist. Gowron thought of the scene just now and still shuddered. Wait, I will go and ask the higher-ups. Gao Ren hurriedly walked to the side, tapped on the chip, and started the conversation. 10 minutes later, he came back again. Brother Jiang, the higher-ups are very interested in you, and our big boss wants to meet you. I wonder what you think. Lead the way. Jiang Li was very straightforward. Please. Gao Run came to the top floor of the security building. Click, 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 a few buttons were pressed, and the door opened automatically. Then, 2 burly men appeared and checked his body. After passing through layers of doors, they came to a huge office. The first thing that came into view in this office was a 2-meter-tall humanoid armor with a silver luster flashing on it. The whole body didn't seem to be welded at all. It seemed to be a whole body. Power armor. Jiang Li was stunned for a moment. He knew that this thing was very powerful. Even if an ordinary person wore it, he would definitely not be an opponent. Obviously, the security group wanted to suppress the gangs in the black market of Suhua City, and the role of power armor couldn't be ignored. One must know that this kind of power armor couldn't even be penetrated by guns. At the back of the office, a person was sitting. It was an old man, about 70 years old, but he didn't look old. He just sat there, showing a sense of power. Obviously, he was one of the main leaders of the security group. Next to him, there were several executives and a very enchanting female secretary. When she saw Jiang Li coming in, she looked at him with a curious look. Mr. Chu, this Mr. Jiang Hua is here. Gao Ren quickly introduced. Hello, my name is Chu Shan. The old man nodded slightly. Are you interested in signing a contract with our security group? Do you want to get the Fruit of Life? Yes, Mr. Chu. Jiang Li nodded. Your hypnosis can actually hypnotize Gao Ren? The old man said, Gao Ren was personally taught by me. He has reached the level of a primary hypnotist. You can hypnotize him, which means that your hypnosis has reached a certain level. Let me test you. While talking, the old man stood up. With this move, Jiang Li suddenly felt dizzy. The whole room rotated with the old man as the center. His eyes produced hallucinations. The old man's body was getting bigger and bigger, and finally covered the sky like a demon god. The old man didn't speak, didn't even make a seal, and didn't have any body language. He simply stood up, giving people a strong spiritual illusion. What level of hypnosis is this? It's beyond Jiang Li's understanding of hypnosis. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.